Everything is clear, no? Screen, everything?
Yes, sir.
Right. So, thanks, Menaka. This
Right,
good
sir.
morning. Good morning to you all. Can you all hear? Can
Yes,
you all
sir.
hear?
Morning.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, morning.
Yes. Thank you. So, first of all, I must thank the people who have ensured punctuality and ensured their presence at 8:30. In spite of telling, I think only 25 have ensured punctuality. So there are altogether, I think, more than 150 students who have enrolled. But I note that only 25 have ensured punctuality. So punctuality is very important because, if everyone adheres to the time schedule, it will be very easy for us to conduct the session successfully because, as you all know, time is precious for you all and for me, for everyone. So we should ensure that we start the session on time. So in this session, the topic of the session is credit risk management and mitigating techniques. So these are the areas which I am going to cover. Now, before I proceed, I just want to tell you all, for you to appreciate if you could turn out your mobiles to silent mode if you are not already done, because if you are following from the comfort of your residence. So please ensure that either you off your mobile or put your mobile into silent mode, because otherwise it will be a hindrance to the other participants. Then the other thing I want to tell you all is, whatever you speak now, you are following from the comfort of your residence. So whatever conversation you have with your home people, everything we'll be able to hear. So you have to ensure that your system is on mute. If you have forgotten to mute it, then whatever you speak, we also can hear. Not only that, we can hear the name of the people who speak also will get reflected here. So that is the most important thing which you all have to remember, because you have to, these 4 hours, you have to fully concentrate. Now this session, we are starting it today. It will go on, hopefully it will go on till 12:30. And in between, I will give a break about 10 or 15 minutes. So we will have to go for at least for another 5 or 6 Sundays. So during the Christmas weekend, we will not have any classes. So that is very important for you all to understand. Then other thing which I want to tell you all is, while I am talking, while I am explaining, if you have any doubt, if you come across any doubt, or if you need any clarification, you are at liberty, you are free to stop me and seek whatever clarification you want. So don't worry. If you have any questions, you can ask. I am not going to humiliate anyone. I will not mention the name of the people who ask questions. So whatever questions you have, whatever doubt you have, you are at liberty to stop me and ask whatever clarification you need. You can ask. So don't get scared. Don't be ashamed to ask, because all of you all have come here to learn, to enhance your knowledge, because the exposure we have, you all don't have. So you naturally, you will have concern, you will have doubts, you will need clarification. So please stop me. Whatever clarification you require, if you don't understand, if you can even ask me to repeat what I have said, I will be happy to comply. Then in this session, now before I proceed, I want to tell you all, have you all got your handouts? Have you all got your handouts? Handouts?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
right.
sir.
Right. So now you have got your handouts. So now in this session, these are the areas which I am going to cover. Course contents, various types of securities acceptable to the bank as security for lending, the operational aspects of such securities, the management and monitoring aspects of securities, mitigation of risk, enforceability of such securities, insurance compliance, bank letters of guarantee, and its operational aspects. So that means these are the areas which I am going to cover. So in your exam, you will be getting 20 marks if you answer these the questions posed on this session. If you answer very well, you are assured of 20 marks. So that will take you to the diploma. to some, just imagine if you are getting 20 marks. Then before I proceed, I want to give you another, advice. Please respond. If I ask you something, you have to respond, because the reason is I am virtually addressing an empty wall. There's no one here. In this room only I am here. There's no one. So you can just imagine my plight. So I have, if it is a physical session, of course, we can talk to the students. We will know their body language. So we will know whether they have understood. But here, of course, I have nothing. I don't have any of those luxuries. So I am totally dependent on your response. So please respond. If I ask you to respond, not about questions or anything. If I ask you, is it clear? Can I move to the next slide? Please respond. If you don't respond, then, I will not be in a position to proceed, because I cannot assess your body language. Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So now these are the areas which I am going to cover. So these are the areas which I am going to cover. So again, in these areas, I have summarized it into 5 parts, 5 sessions. That means in session, this particular program will comprise of 5 sessions. In these 5 sessions, session number one will cover some of the important technical and legal aspects of securities. That means in the first session, we will cover some of the important technical and legal aspects of securities. Then the second session will cover the various types of assets obtained as security and its mitigating techniques. Then number 3 will cover the important operational aspects of securities. Then the fourth session will cover the various types of insurance covers obtained to overcome any calamity beyond the control of the banks. In the session 5, the final session will cover the bank letters of guarantee and its operational aspects. So in other words, these are the 5 sessions. I have summarized it into 5 sessions, but I may be able to explain, take the first session and second session in today's session program, depending on the availability of time. Now, I believe all of you all are handling credits in banks. I have no way of asking everyone, at least somebody. You all are handling credits? Credits?
Yes, sir.
Yes, right, very good. So now, in this session, in all my session, story-based learning. What do you mean by story-based learning? Now, what is story-based learning? Story-based learning is the most powerful way of imparting knowledge from time immemorial. Stories have been used to pass knowledge. We all love good stories. I'm sure all of you all love good stories, and it makes the learning fun and leads to higher retention. True scenario that has taken place, tell enough stories and the learning will remain in your heart. You may forget the learning, but the stories will remain forever. You will hear a lot of stories, true stories in relation to the topic, which will be immensely beneficial to you. That is the uniqueness of this program. In other words, I have more or less 50 years of exposure in banking. I joined HNB straight from school. I joined at National Bank during the 70s. So when I joined HNB, they had only 4 branches. So I worked in HNB for more than 30 years. Then I opted for they gave a voluntary retirement scheme, accepted it. Then thereafter, I joined Pan Asia Bank. I was a head of credit administration at Pan Asia Bank for 4.5 years. Then I was a head of credit administration at Union Bank for 1.5 years. Then I was a head of credit administration at Amana Bank for nearly 4 years. Then I was a head of training and development at Cargill's Bank for another 4 years. So I'm just telling that to give you an insight to my experience in banking. So close upon 50 years, I have been working at various banks, and in addition to that, I have been a lecturer at the Institute of Bankers and Central Bank of Sri Lanka. So I have more than 30 years of experience as a trainer. So during our banking career, we have come across a lot of episodes, experiences, stories. So all these stories which are relevant to the topic, I am going to share with you all. That's why most of my students tell me that, say they say, sir, you come out with a lot of stories. When we hear these stories, it always remains with us. So that is the reason why, as far as possible, I may share some of the stories, because the stories will be very interesting, and you will also remember these stories when you are executing your responsibilities connected to credit management and securities. So now, credit delivery is the backbone of banking. As you all know, I don't have to tell you all. Credit delivery is considered to be the backbone of banking. Without credit delivery, banks cannot operate with profitability. The work connected to all aspects of credit and credit operations could be considered as a double-edged sword. It could either create stability or instability in banks and financial institutions. In other words, it could either make or break banks and financial institutions. It is a bread and butter of the bank. Now, when I talk about credit delivery, during our time, when we started our banking career, we didn't have any competition like the competition what you all are having today. If I remember correctly, when I started my banking career at HNB, I think there was only one private bank which was competing with HNB. That was Commercial Bank. So as far as I remember, these are the only two private banks which were operating during the 70s, HNB and Commercial Bank. Apart from all the other banks are state banks. So these two banks, private bank, they didn't have much competition, because it's very easy for them to operate, because they didn't have any competition, because as you all know, people, when it's a private bank, they have a flexibility. So therefore, a lot of customers used to come to these banks for various facilities, because number one is expeditious service, and at the same time, they were in a position to entertain most of the customers' requirement concerning credit. So today, what is the situation? Today, the situation is completely different. Today, you can ask yourself, there are 26 banks operating in Sri Lanka. You can just imagine the location of your own branch. I don't know what are the banks. I know there is a mixture of bankers from various banks attending this program. You can ask yourself how many competitors are there in your vicinity. You have all the banks, almost all the banks are having branches in the place, the location where you are operating. So see the competition you are facing. So if you decline a credit facility to a customer, he has other option. He may go shopping. He can go to another bank. And not only the bank, there are finance companies, there are leasing companies. So today, I would say customers are the king. They are in a position to dictate terms to the bankers. Now, during our time, if we are asked to go as a branch manager, we jump and go, because the ultimate aim of a banker is to become a manager of a branch. Because when you are a manager, you are highly recognized. Your social standing goes up. So today I know most of the bankers are reluctant to go as bank managers. Why? Because there is a tremendous responsibility cast on them. You can't just go and sit under air-conditioned comfort. You will be given a credit target. You will be given a deposit target. You will be given a recovery target. Like that, there are so many targets given to you. So you just imagine the difficulty you face in operating under this existing competitive environment. So you can't say that I am not going to grant any credit. You have to grant credit. Why? Because you have been given a target. By your management will give you a target. They say 25 million for a month. So you have to, whether you like it or not, you have to go and you have to identify customers, borrowers, and give this 25 million. Channel this. Otherwise, your branch cannot operate with profitability. And not only that, you have to, when you are giving 25 million, you will be asked to get deposits of another 25 million or 50 million. Then not only that, you will have to recover this. So just imagine, I am just giving you scope of your responsibility. Credit delivery is a backbone of banking. Now today you can take the present situation, the global situation. Now last year when we were addressing, I remember last year during December, if I remember correctly, last December when I was having the Diploma program, the previous day I was listening to the BBC news. The BBC breaking news, they said they have found a vaccine for this COVID. So the previous Saturday night, I was listening to the BBC. BBC said they have found a vaccine for this COVID. Hopefully, they said next year they will be able to bring it under control. So in the Sunday program, I shared this with my students. I told them there's a good news. Last night, BBC breaking news said that they have found a vaccine. So you can see the amount of progress we have made. Now today, I think almost 92% of the population have got their second vaccine. So now the government is on a campaign to give the booster. So now why I am telling you this is credit. As bankers, we should be prepared to face any eventuality. Last year, the whole world came to a halt last year. So this year, of course, there is some sort of improvement. So therefore, credit delivery is considered to be the backbone of banking. Without credit delivery, banks cannot operate with profitability. The work connected to all aspects of credit and credit operations could be considered as a double-edged sword. It could either create stability or instability in banks and financial institutions. In other words, it could either make or break banks and financial institutions. It is the bread and butter of the bank. So as bankers, we have to be prepared to face any eventuality. Now this COVID, we never even dreamt. We never even dreamt that we will be conducting lectures from the comfort of our residences. If I ask you, did you all ever dream that one day you will follow lectures from the comfort of your residences? So see how the situation has changed. So as bankers, you all have a tremendous responsibility in Sri Lanka. If you take Sri Lanka's context, banking industry is one of the highly successful industry in Sri Lanka. Not a single bank has crashed in Sri Lanka other than a private savings bank. That of course some other problem, but banking industry is a highly successful industry thanks to the commitment and the dedication of the bank staff. Now, when you say credit risk, you all must understand when we talk about credit risk is defined as the potential that a bank borrower or counterparty will fail to meet its obligation in accordance with the agreed term. We will have to think far that in case if this facility goes bad, in case if this customer defaults, that is what is called credit risk. So we have to assess the risk. Nobody can come and say that he is a first-class customer. The goal of credit risk management is to maximize a bank's risk-adjusted rate of return by maintaining credit exposure within acceptable parameters. Banks should manage the credit risk inherent in the entire portfolio. The effective management of credit risk is a critical component of management of credit towards safeguarding the interest of any lending institution. That is what is called credit risk. Now, credit risk, it's an effective management. When you say credit risk, credit risk is the risk of default of capital plus interest by the borrowers of the bank, which could contribute towards loss of income and reduction in the value of asset, which will greatly affect the profitability of the bank. So in other words, if the bank is facing a serious risk of default of the capital plus interest by the borrower, the bank could contribute towards the loss of income and reduction in the value of assets, which will greatly affect the profitability of the bank. So therefore, reliability and enforceability of the securities have to be constantly ascertained to minimize this risk. Effective and legally enforceable securities should be obtained to minimize the risk. So when you are taking securities, we like to ensure that we take effective and legally enforceable securities should be obtained to minimize the risk. Now, when I talk about credit risk, I am reminded of an episode, the first story I am going to share with you all. Many years ago, in one of the banks where I was attached to, the CEO of the bank called me and told me that there is a credit program on credit risk at a 5-star hotel in Colombo. He said there is a program on credit risk, half-a-day program. And he told me this is a program 4 or 5 hours, held in one of the hotels. So I am nominating you to attend this session on behalf of our bank. So I went for this program. And while there were altogether about 50 odd participants from various banks, all senior people. So while we were seated there, the moderator, the course program coordinator gave his welcoming address, and then he said, we have invited a senior retired banker, I don't want to mention the name, a senior retired banker to give his keynote address, to give the keynote address. So we all were seated. Then this gentleman, a well-known personality, came to the podium and he addressed the participant. And he said, what did he say? He said, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This program is about credit risk. And he said, today crossing the Gold Road in Colombo is the biggest risk in the world, he said. So for a moment, we were all stunned and we were wondering whether we have come for a traffic class, because we have come for a program on credit risk. This gentleman is talking about crossing the road in Gold Road. It's the biggest risk in the world. Then he continued. He said, if you are a careful person, if you want to cross the Gold Road somewhere in Gold Road, you will first look at the signal, color lights, and if the light turns to red, you will slowly cross because you are adhering to the rules. But still, he said, although you are crossing on the red light, your life is not guaranteed, because he was telling, there are enough cases where people who have been crossing on the pedestrian crossings, they have been knocked off because motorists, they come in full speed. Sometimes we ourselves have narrow shades several times. Then he said, if you are a careless person, if you are a person who is not don't care style person, you will not look at the color lights. Why? Your anxiety, your desire is to cross the road as quickly as possible and go to the other side. Go to the other side as quickly as possible. But by doing that, you are putting your life into a greater risk. And he said, you may succeed, but you are taking a major risk. Why? You are not looking at the color lights. You are just crossing. So you are putting your life at a major risk. You will succeed, but still your life is at risk. In the third category, he said, even if the light turns red, you will not cross. Why? Because you are a careful person. Still you didn't want to cross, because you on the back of your mind, you know that I could be knocked off by a motorist. So still, then what do? You wait there. Wait at least 4, 5 or 6 people get collected and you cross the road as a group with 6 or 7 people. Then the possibility of you getting knocked off is very, very remote. Because he said, an oncoming motorist will not miss a group of people crossing. So what is the message he was giving us, he was telling, now you all are people handling responsibilities, credit risk. My advice to you all is every time you process a credit facility, put yourself as a person who is crossing the Gall Road in Colombo. Your desire is to safeguard the interests of your institution. In other words, when you're crossing, you have to ensure that you safeguard your life. So if you take shortcuts, if you don't adhere to the precautions, if you don't adhere to the regulatory stipulations imposed by your bank, you are putting your advance into greater risk. So you have to look at all sides. In other words, what he was telling is you have to go the extra mile. You have to look into every aspect. Why? Your ultimate responsibility is to ensure the safety of your advance. So now see the message. Now here, after he spoke about this, I got this from internet. So I'm sharing this with you all. I have shared this at various forums so that to make my session interesting and to give a strong message to you all. And look at this particular slide. This couple with their two children, they are stopping the vehicles and crossing. So they are taking a major risk. Here again, these people are crossing. They are adhering to the traffic regulation, but still they are at a risk. Now you can see this lady is just crossing at the pedestrian crossing, adhering to the traffic regulation. Still there's a risk. But look at this group of people crossing. So the chances of they getting knocked off is minimal. So I'm sharing this episode with you all because this is a very, 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 very relevant to the topic of discussion and very good example, very good lesson for us as bankers, because we have come across situations where people have been knocked off. Even if I can share with you another incident, Pan Asia Bank's managing director, GM, and MD. This gentleman was a MD, GM, and CEO of Pan Asia Bank. In fact, he was a person who took me to Pan Asia Bank. He, while crossing the road opposite his residence on the pedestrian crossing with his wife, he was knocked off. And he died and his wife survived because when the motorist who came on full speed has missed them. So this is a very good lesson for us as bankers, for you as bankers. Don't ever take shortcuts because you are being pressurized. You will be pressurized to release the loan as quickly as possible because you are all operating under a target-oriented environment. Is it clear to you all? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. So now, responsibility of the bankers. Now, there is an element of trust. There is an element of trust where a customer or depositor places on their banks to take care of their money. The bank is accountable for that money and the trust placed on it by its customers. In addition, the shareholders of the bank expect a fair return, and they expect their banks to be mindful of the types of risk they take, as well as identifying the risk accurately and taking the necessary safeguards. In other words, your bank expects you to be mindful of the type of risk you take, as well as identifying the risk accurately and taking the necessary safeguards. So that is your responsibility. Your bank expects a fair return, and they expect you to be mindful of the types of risk you take, as well as identifying the risk accurately and taking the necessary safeguards. So, definition of security. As a security is an encumbrance vested in a creditor over the property of his debtor for the purpose of securing the repayment of the debt. It is a right in the property of another which enables a person who is entitled to receive a definite value from that another in default, if so receiving it, to realize it from that property. The purpose of the security is to ensure or facilitate the fulfillment of the or the enjoyment of some rights vested in its owner. Now, before I proceed, I think I forgot to mention that I must also tell you all, there are altogether close upon 200 slides here. There are altogether close upon 200 slides. So I have given in your handouts, you may find some of the slides are missing. So don't worry, I have extracted only the important slides have been extracted. Only the important slides. So while you are following, you may find some of the slides are not here. So you may be wondering, sir, what is this slide is not here. So don't worry. Only I have extracted the important slides I have extracted, and I have also made provisions against each slide for you all to take notes. So to make your learning process easy, I have made provision against each slide for you to write notes. So remember that some of the slides may not be there, but don't worry, only the important slides important slides are reflecting in your handout. Now, importance of security. According to the Oxford Dictionary of Finance and Banking, it defines security as an asset or assets to which a lender can have recourse if the borrower defaults on any loan repayment. So according to the Oxford Dictionary, the security is an asset or asset to which a lender could have recourse if the borrower defaults on any loan repayment. So that, in other words, if the borrower defaults, then we have to totally rely on the security. We have to totally rely on the security. So just imagine the type of responsibility cast on the people who are handling credit. Because if the facility goes bad, then ultimately we have to rely on the security. If that security on which we have been dependent is very weak, then we may have to write off the facility. So security, that's why security, when you say security, is an asset or asset to which a lender can have recourse if the borrower defaults on any loan repayments. Hence, security is what the borrower puts up to guarantee repayment of the loan. It may include a tangible, intangible, or even a personal guarantee. Is it clear to you all? Clear? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. So little knowledge is dangerous. The proverb, a little knowledge is a dangerous thing, expresses the idea that a small amount of knowledge can mislead people into thinking that they are more expert than they really are, which could lead into mistakes being made and result in serious and dangerous repercussions. So now, in other words, what I want to tell you all, a little bit of knowledge, a little knowledge is dangerous. If you don't know anything, if you need any clarification, you can always ask an expert. So there are a lot of things for you all to learn. So while you are executing a responsibility, if you have little bit of knowledge and if you don't want to go and ask someone for clarification, that's also dangerous. It will lead into serious repercussions. Now, role of security in bank lending. Security is a hold the bank has against an advance. On every advance granted, there is an element of risk of non-payment. Security is obtained to balance such risk as it will give greater comfort. It will enable the banker to realize its exposure. However, merely taking security do not provide the banker the protection. Now, I want to share another interesting story with you all. Many years ago, in one of the banks where I was attached to, all these banks are in Gall Road. There is a place in Gall Road, there is a restaurant. I won't even call it a restaurant. It's a ordinary batkade. It's an ordinary place, not a it's not a posh place, but we call it a batkade. And here, most of the people in that area, Gall Road, they used to go, even still it is there. They used to go there for their breakfast and lunch. But they don't have dinner because by 5:30, 6 o'clock they close it because the Mudalali told me that they sell for a day more than 500 to 600 lunch parcels they sell. Not only parcels, you can go and sit and can have your lunch. So one day when I walked into this particular place, because whenever you walk in there, you could see the Mudalali. The Mudalali is seated there. For the 8 hours, he is seated. I have never seen him seated. He always stands there at the counter, and he has eye contact with each and every customer who walks in. He has eye contact. He will immediately tell the waiter, he has come, ask him what he wants, like that. So one day when I walked in, the place was fully packed as usual. So there was a place just opposite the counter where the Mudalali was standing. So he immediately invited me to come and sit there. And at the same time, he instructed these people to serve. So while I was seated there, waiting for my lunch or while having my lunch, the Mudalali was having a discussion with another gentleman who had his lunch. So I was listening to that discussion because I was seated there in close proximity to the Mudalali's counter. So I was compelled to listen to the conversation. So this gentleman who was talking to him, it appeared that he had lunch, and at that time the lunch was 125 rupees, for which he has tendered a 2,000 rupee note. He has tendered a 2,000 rupee note. And the Mudalali told him, I don't have change. Mudalali told him, I don't have change. And when the Mudalali told him, I don't have change, so Mudalali had change. But he would have thought, why should I change this man? Because I need change. Because today, as you all would have encountered the difficulty you all have in changing a 5,000 rupee note. When we go and withdraw money from the bank ATMs, most of the notes are 5,000 rupees. So we have to go from pillar to post to change this 5,000 rupees. Now I saw somewhere, now very soon they are going to introduce 10,000 rupee notes also, they are going to introduce. I don't know how far it's true, but I saw somewhere. So at that time they had 2,000 rupee notes in circulation. Today, of course, I don't think, I have not come across 2,000, I have not seen 2,000 rupee note. But at that time it was there. So he wanted, the Mudalali asked for change. So this customer said, I don't have change. And the customer is a walk-in customer, not a regular customer. Then he told the Mudalali, sir, but this customer was having a helmet in his hand. He was having a helmet in his hand. So the Mudalali, he told the Mudalali, I will go out and change and come in. Sinhalese, he told, Mama Gila Markolla Gena. So it means he said, I will go out, change and come. Mudalali told him, no, I can't allow you to go. Because if you go, you will not come back. But Mudalali imposed a condition to this gentleman. He told, okay, if you are going, do this. What do you think you would have told? Can you all tell me? Some of you all, if you all have heard this story, you may have the answer. What do you think the Mudalali would have told this walk-in customer? According to your assessment, you are matured enough, you understood the story. What do you think the Mudalali would have told? Mudalali told, because he said, I will go out and change and come. Mudalali said, no, if you go out, you will not come back. But if you are going, he said, you do this. What do you think the Mudalali would have told? What do you think the Mudalali would have told? Yes, very good. Mudalali told, yeah, excellent. Mudalali told, you keep the helmet and go. Because if you go, you will not come back. Then this gentleman told, Mudalali, if I keep the helmet and go, how can I go in my motorbike? Because I have to go somewhere and change it. I can't go. I can't ride the bike without a helmet. So Mudalali told him, Ekana Mamadan, I don't know about that. But you keep the helmet and go. I don't know about that. But then there was a deadlock. Then this gentleman, he was asking each and every customer who walked in, he was virtually going and begging from them with the 2,000 rupee note, whether you have change, you have change. And ultimately he was able to change and he settled and chapter closed. That's the end of the story. That's the end of the story. Then after about 2 or 3 weeks, these are true stories. One day when I went to have my lunch, as you all know, as we bankers, sometimes we don't look at the time. We don't look at the time because we are bankers. You have a very tight schedule. You don't even look at the time. All of a sudden you look at the time, it's 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, then only you realize you have still not gone for lunch. So one day when I looked at the time, it was past 2:30. So I rushed across the Gold Road and rushed there to have my lunch. So while having my lunch, only I realized I have not brought my purse. I have not brought my wallet. But still I continued with my lunch. I took a risk and continued with my lunch. Then I approached the Mudalali and I told the Mudalali, I have not brought my purse. What do you think the Mudalali would have told me? According to your assessment, you have listened to both the stories. According to your assessment, what do you think the Mudaladi would have told me? If you are the Mudaladi, what do you think you would have told the customer? Because I didn't have a helmet. Any guesses? What do you think the Mudaladi would have told me? When I told the Mudaladi, I have not brought my purse.
It's okay, give it another day.
Yes, very good, excellent. It is okay, give it another day. Mudaladi said, sir, don't worry, sir, don't worry about that, he said. Don't worry about that. Then I went back to the bank. Evening before I left the bank, I ensured to return the money. I again crossed the Gold Road, went to the Mudaladi and paid the lunch money. I paid it. So these two episodes, you all may be wondering, what has these two episodes got to do with this program? Why I am narrating these two stories is there's a reason. Number one is, you all must remember, bankers always do not take securities. We don't take security always. You can wherever you are attached to, your bank or finance company or wherever you are attached to, you can go through your institution's annual report and you will see not millions, billions of rupees would have been granted without any security. Without any security, your institution would have granted. How did they grant? On absolute trust and integrity. Absolute trust and integrity. So you may in your banking life come across similar situations where you are sure of this customer's integrity, you are sure of this customer's ability, you are sure of this customer's creditworthiness to meet the commitment, you will want to waive off the security. But even if something happens to the customer, you are convinced that you have the necessary mechanism to recover the facility. You can grant the facility without any security, like this particular episode. These are two interesting episodes which I have shared at various programs to give you the message, to drive my point. We don't always, bankers do not ask for security. Now, during the COVID crisis, you could see the amount of facilities which may have been gone bad, but banks have not written off because they have rescheduled. Now, take the tourism industry. Tourism industry is down now. Slowly it is picking up. The country is losing about 4.9 billion, not million, 4.9 billion US dollars, if I remember correctly, on tourism for a year. That is the reason they have suspended the importation of the motor vehicles, because until the tourism recovers, the motor vehicle import ban will remain. I saw somewhere they have stated, because we are not generating any income on tourism now. We have opened the airport, and slowly after the successful vaccination campaign, countries limping towards normalcy. So see, the banks have to reschedule the facilities, billions of facilities, and some of these facilities they may have granted without any securities, but still for all, they were confident of the customer's ability to meet, to honor their commitment. They know the customer will never let them down, even though there are no securities. So you may come across situations like that. If you are convinced, you can do your own risk analysis and say, in case if the facility goes bad, how we will recover. Then coming back to the other side of the story, now here this gentleman, the Mudalali, an uneducated Mudalali, he has no education whatsoever, but he simply wanted this person to keep the helmet and go. Did he ascertain whether he is the owner of the helmet? Did he find out how much I can get on this helmet? Did he find out, did he assess the quality, examine the quality of the helmet? No, nothing was done. He simply told the customer, keep the helmet and go. The walk-in customer, keep the helmet and go. But in case this customer has not returned, he would have sold the helmet, recovered his lunch money and made a profit. So we bankers are also taking helmet. Not only helmet, we are taking various assets as security. But we can't follow the same criteria, same procedure adopted by this Mudalali. If we are taking this helmet as security, we have to find out, we have to comply with so many precautions. Who is the owner of whether he is a legal owner? Where did he buy this? What is the value of it? How can we, what is the state of this? Can we sell this second-hand helmet? Are there any buyers? All those factors have to be taken into consideration. So remember, these two episodes, security and no security, because the reason why I am sharing this is you may be pondering whether it is always necessary to obtain security. No. If you are 100% confident of the customer's ability to repay the facility, the banks can waive off the security. I know very well in the banks where I was attached to, billions of rupees, not millions, billions of rupees have been granted without any security. So you, supposing if you are a branch manager, if you come across a situation, one of your best customers, he doesn't want to give any security, but you can still consider the facility. You can recommend the facility, strongly recommend the facility, giving the reasons why you are recommending this facility without any security. And in case if the facility goes bad, what is the mechanism available to you to recover? That means he is a person with substantial asset like that. So you can. So remember, these are two episodes for you all to remember. We are taking securities. The securities that we take should be a security on which we could rely. At the same time, the bankers are also not taking security, depending on the customer's integrity, ability, creditworthiness, everything. Is it clear to you all, these two episodes? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Clear, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. So, what do we mean by the word security? The word security, which is commonly used in banking, especially in credit appraisal, in other connected areas, is said to be derived from the Latin word securitas, that is secure, safe, free from care. Now, when you are taking security, you are free from care. You don't have to worry about it. Like that Mudalali, he wanted that person to keep the helmet and go because he was not worried. He said, keep the helmet and go, because he knew that my 125 rupees is safe. So similarly, when we are taking security, our advance is secured, safe, free from care. We don't have to worry. Now, if the principles of lending justify the assistance of a customer, then the security will be obtained as a form of insurance against an unforeseen development. Now, you all have followed several programs. I think various lecturers would have spoken to you all about credit management, granting loans, appraising and all. My mandate is to talk to you all about security. So now they would have discussed with you all how to process the facility. So once you are convinced that this particular customer's request is a justifiable request, then you will think about the security. That is, if you feel that you have to get a security, if you feel you have to get a security, then you will concentrate on obtaining security in the form, it's a form of insurance against an unforeseen development. When you are taking security, it is some sort of a guarantee and insurance against an unforeseen development. Now see the corona crisis, it is a very good lesson for us. It's a very good lesson for us. Now, importance of updating the knowledge bank. Just to give you an advice, towards arriving at a sound and satisfactory and acceptable decision, a banker should possess certain important aspects. What are they? Knowledge in all important aspects of securities, its marketability, risk involved and its operation, determine the quality of good security with minimal risk, understand the benefits in accepting good securities towards meeting any eventuality, knowledge in securing in advance and setting the security appropriately to face any eventuality which could arise due to any default, etc. So what I'm trying to say is, as bankers, this is the advice I have been giving at all my programs to young bankers like you all. It is very, very important for you all to update your knowledge bank. How do you update your knowledge bank? You have to read the news. You have to read the newspaper. When I say read the newspaper, I am not asking you to go and buy the newspaper from your smartphone. There are so many websites which is extracting the news and giving you, whether it's economic news or business news or entertainment or global happenings. All those things are every day it is summarized and given to you. So see the luxury available at your disposal. It is very, very important, because I know very well today we have worked with young bankers like you all. Most of the bankers, they rarely go through the newspapers. They rarely go through the newspaper. In one of the banks where I was attached to, I have seen some of these newspapers which are delivered to the bank are not even open. Not even open. It's just there. Why people, they don't want to go through the newspapers. So it is very important for you to update your knowledge bank. Updating your knowledge bank is very important. Now I can share another episode. In one of the banks I was attached to, I was asked to conduct a training program for some of their newly recruited staff. They had recruited about 35 people to the bank, and we conducted a induction program. I was asked to conduct an induction program. And out of these 35 people, there were about 20 odd people, they had degrees. They had degrees from various universities. They had degrees, and some of them had even MBA. So in my first session, I welcomed them. Then I asked a question from them. I asked them, how is your general knowledge? Are you all thorough with the general knowledge? Everybody, from their body language, the way they responded, I got the message they are not thorough. So I just asked a simple question. What's the question? I asked, can you all name the governor of central bank? Can you all name the governor of central bank? Not a single person gave the answer. Not a single, this happened about 4 or 5 years back. Not a single person gave the answer. They were looking down, and then one person put his hands up. Then I asked, do you know the name of the governor? He said yes. Then he gave the name. You see, he gave the former governor's name, not the present governor, former. This happened about 4 years back. At that time, Dr. Indrajit Kumarasamy was the governor, and he gave the previous governor's name. Then I said, you all have joined the bank. You all want to become bankers, so that means you all don't read the newspaper. You all don't know what is happening in the country. Just imagine the people who have joined the bank want to become selected banking as a career. They don't even know who the governor is. So then, while the program was on, after some session, in my multimedia, I put the governor's picture, not immediately, after some time. And I asked them, this is a very well-known personality. Have you all seen this picture? Then somebody said, yes, sir, we have seen. Can you all name who is this person here? Not a single person was able to give the answer. Not a single person was able to give the answer. Then later on, I told the CEO and the head of HR of the bank, when you all are recruiting people, you all don't ask any general knowledge questions. They said, no, we are asking. The HR head said, no, we are asking. So I said, but none of these people could give the answer about the governor of the central bank. So supposing these people have gone to some other bank or some other place where if they have asked this question, I am sure all 35 people would have been rejected. They wouldn't have taken. So why I am telling you all this is, as bankers, as people who are handling credit, it is very important for you to know what is happening in the country, what is happening globally, because when I ask you to update your knowledge bank, I am not asking you to go and buy the newspaper. You can, from your own mobile, there are various apps. I think one app is InfoLanka. If you can write the name. InfoLanka, INFOLANK, InfoLanka. That's a very good website, InfoLanka, which gives you all the news. Sinhalese papers, English papers, Tamil papers, websites, news in brief, global happenings, local happenings, everything is there. So as a prayer, every morning before you start your work, you have to go through the newspapers, not buying the paper from your smartphone. You can check. You have to update your knowledge bank. That is very important for you, because that also has a direct bearing to the responsibility cast on your shoulders. Is it clear to you all? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. So now, determining the suitability of security factors to be considered. Now, I have shared some of my experiences with you all. Now we are coming to another important factor. Now I want to ask you a question. If I come to your bank for a loan, say I come to your bank for a loan of 2 million. I say I want a loan of 2 million. You may ask, so what is the security you could offer? And this loan to be repaid in 10 years. I want a loan of 2 million to be repaid within a period of 10 years. And as you ask some sort of security, you say, sir, I want some sort of security. So if I give my car, motor vehicle, as security for a loan of 2 million to be repaid in 10 years, will you accept it or not accept it according to your knowledge? Because there are people who are handling credit according to your assessment, your knowledge, your maturity. Will you accept a motor vehicle as security for a loan to be repaid in 10 years' time? Yes or no? Don't worry about your answer. Yes, Yamis?
No.
No. Why? Very good. Yes, the answer is correct. No, that is the answer. Why you won't accept? Can you all tell me why you won't accept? Why you won't accept a motor vehicle as security? Your answer is correct. You won't accept motor vehicle as security for a period of 2 years.
Motor vehicle values getting reduced.
Yes, very good. Motor vehicle prices will get reduced. Motor vehicle prices will get depreciated. That is the reason why we will not take a car as security for a period of 10 years. Why the motor vehicle prices is not a dependable price. Now, so today the prices of motor vehicles have gone up. A vehicle which was sold at 4.5 million, today it's 9 million. More than 9.5 million. Why? It has almost doubled. But this is a good time for you to sell your car, but not a good time to buy a car. If you sell your car, you can't buy a car. Now, even, now the minister has announced the suspension. Next year also, the suspension will remain. So that means 2022 also, the ban on the importation of motor vehicle will remain. So the prices, now it is doubled. It can go up further, but it's not a dependable price value. The moment the government decides motor vehicle ban has been lifted, the value will drop to its original level. Apart from that, there is a depreciation value. Why? Because motor vehicles, there's a depreciation value. Now, if you ask yourself, the very first car which you may have bought, just can you find out where this car is? No, you have no way of finding out. If you ask me where is the first car, the second car, third car, or fourth car, I don't know. I don't know where these cars. I hardly see them. Because why? There's a depreciation value. So therefore, motor vehicle cannot be taken as security for a loan to be repaid in 10 years. So that's why I'm saying that the first example, the first advice is we have to match the proposed security with the type ranking of the proposed borrower. Then the second one is relevant to what I discussed. Match the security with the anticipated period of risk repayment of the facility. Now, we'll have to match the security with the anticipated period of risk repayment. And when we are taking a security, your number one priority is to ensure the security what you have taken should remain intact at its original form until the loan is repaid in full. So today, if I have come and given you my car as security, if you are taking my car as security for a loan to be repaid in 10 years' time, until the final repayment, the car should be in its original form. Will it remain in its original form? No. No, it will not remain in its original form. Why? Because there's a depreciation value. There's a depreciation value. So similarly, whatever security we take, we have to ensure that the security remains intact until the final repayment of the facility. Then number 3 is assess the value and enforceability of the security to overcome any eventuality which may arise due to various factors resulting in the non-payment of the advance. Assess the value and enforceability of the security. We'll have to assess its value and enforce its enforceability to overcome any eventuality which may arise due to various factors resulting in the non-payment of the advance. Due to various factors. Now, the COVID-19 is a very good example for us, which we never even expected. Nobody even ever dreamt. So we have to, the bankers, we have now, why we are taking security? We are taking security on certain customers, certain borrowers. We are taking security because we are not sure of their ability to repay the commitment. That's why we are taking securities. Unlike that Mudrali, that particular episode where in my case he said, don't worry, because he was absolutely confident of recovery. He was absolutely confident of recovering the facility. Even if I have failed to return the money, Mudrali would have known, Mudrali knows how to recover it. Because he would have gone to the bank, he would have sent somebody to the bank and told inquired on the bank people, where is the gentleman who came and had lunch at my place? He has not settled it. And even if I was not there, he would have got the details, and there was a way of recovering it. So when we are taking security, why do we take security? We have to take security because to face any unforeseen circumstances which could result in the non-payment of the advance. Therefore, the security what we take should remain intact until the final repayment of the advance exposure. Is it clear to you all? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now, role of a branch manager, credit officer. What is the role of a branch manager or a credit officer? Your role will be to implement your bank's credit policy. Hence, you should be equipped with all the essential ingredients, inclusive of various important aspects of securities risk management, operation, and mitigation of risk towards making the correct and appropriate decision in safeguarding the interests of your institution. Your main concern should not only be the profitability of the bank, the safety of the advance, which is paramount. Your responsibility commences from the point of the facility being appraised and will conclude only after it is fully repaid. In other words, your responsibility as a credit officer, as a branch manager, will commence from the time you process the facility and will conclude and will expire only after the loan is repaid in full. So see the responsibility cast on you as a branch manager, as a credit officer. Then the most important ingredient is you have to find out, you have to study your bank's credit policy. So if you are assigned to as a credit officer, as a branch manager, you must ask your bank for the credit policy. Now, if you are appointed as the bank management appoints you as a branch manager, then they will say you will be guided. You should be guided by your by the bank's credit policy. So you have to ask for the credit policy. You have to go through the credit policy of the bank to appraise yourself of the important stipulations laid down in the credit policy. Remember, the credit policy of your bank will vary from the credit policy of another bank. If you take the credit policy of HNB, it will vary from the credit policy of commercial bank. If you take the credit policy of Sampath Bank, it will vary from the credit policy of NDB Bank. So each bank will have its own credit policy. So the credit policy is the most important tool, most important document which you have to study. Because if a customer wants a facility, personal loan, to be repaid within 5 years, he says, I want a loan of 1 lakh to be repaid in 5 years. How will you answer? Answer is given in your bank's credit policy. Your bank's credit policy will stipulate whether you can grant a loan to be repaid in 5 years. If a customer comes and says, I want a loan, housing loan, to be repaid in 25 years, where can you get the answer? The answer is in your credit policy. If a customer comes and says, I want to open a liquor shop, can I open a liquor shop? What is the purpose of this loan? This loan is to start a liquor shop. Can you give the loan? Refer the credit policy. If the answer is in your bank's credit policy. So credit policy of the bank is very important for you. Without the credit policy, don't ever venture into your responsibility of executing your credit assignment, because credit policy is very, very important. So if you are not gone through your credit policy, you have to ask your bank, because you have a right. Nobody can say, I can't give your manager can't say, no, I can't give the credit policy because that is confidential. He can't say that. You have a right to know. You should have a right to know. So if the manager says this is confidential, you can sit in the manager's room, in the presence of the manager, you can go through the credit policy in his presence. So you have to apprise yourself of the important aspects of the credit policy. Is it clear to you all? Clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now, different types of securities generally accepted by the bank. Now, we have come to the most important slide. In this slide, I have incorporated all the securities which have been authorized by your bank which have been authorized by the central bank to secure the credit policy. In other words, these are the securities. In other words, this is your menu card. Because these are the securities which have been authorized by your bank management to accept, to secure the facility. What are they? Immobile property, immobile machinery, movable assets, motor vehicles, stocks in trade, guarantee, corporate guarantee, life insurance policy, cash security, marketable shares, gold, demand promissory note. So all these are the securities which have been authorized by the bank, which have been authorized by your credit policy, which would have been authorized by the management of your bank to accept. Let me tell you all, on each and every security which is listed here, there is an element of risk. On each and every security which is listed here, there is an element of risk. What is element? There is a risk. You may be wondering, what are the risks? You should know what are these risks. How do we mitigate? So in my session, now I have got more or less 5 weeks to discuss all this. I am going to discuss the most of the important factors covering these securities, the risk, and how do we mitigate these risks? How do we overcome these risks? What precautions we can take, we bankers can take to overcome these risks? So this will be a very interesting session because I will be sharing a lot of stories. So on every asset which is listed here, there is an element of risk. So I am going to take one by one these securities and discuss. One by one, I am going to take these securities to make my session interesting and easier for you all to understand. I have given the handout, so you can write whatever I discuss, whatever the important points you can write. At the same time, I also must tell you all, when I set the question, because I am the examiner for this particular session. So the questions will be set by me on securities. Securities for bank lending and letters of guarantee. I am the person who will be setting the questions. I am the person who will be correcting the papers. Now, even the previous session, I have got the papers. I have not touched it. I am in the process of correcting it. So I am the person, I am the examiner. I will be the person who will be correcting your answers. So what I am trying to say is, when I set the question papers, the questions will be selected from my presentation, from my handouts, from my slides. So I will not deviate. I will not go out of it. So all the questions, you will find the answers in these sessions. The answers are there. So if you have listened to my sessions very carefully, then I don't think you will have any problem in answering, because everything will be discussed in detail and the questions will be selected from my presentations. Is it clear to you all? Is it clear?
Clear, sir.
Right. So now, how do we secure an asset as security? Now, I want to take your mind back to that Mudalali. Now, when that Mudalali wanted that person to keep the helmet and go, did he ask that customer, that walking customer, did he ascertain the ownership? No. Did he find out the value? No. We bankers, when we are taking any security, any asset as security, the number one criteria which we have to satisfy ourselves is the ownership. We have to find out the ownership of that particular asset. As bankers, as financiers, we have to find out who is the owner, whether he is the owner. If the customer comes and says, I am the owner, this helmet is mine, we don't accept it. Why? Because we have to take all the legal precautions to ensure that he has a valid title of ownership. So bank has to find out. Now, bankers, we are taking so many securities. We are taking properties, immovable property, movable property, stocks, hardware items, motor vehicles. So all these items, when we are taking, number one criteria is we have to find out who is the owner. Title clearance, we have to find out. We have to find out whether he or she is the owner, whether they are the owners. Once you are satisfied with that, then we have to find out the value. What is the value? Finders taking a property as security, even though we are ascertaining the ownership is excellent, he is the owner, but if there is no value for the property, no point in taking such properties as security. So we will have to find out the value. Valuation, that's what we call it, valuation clearance. When you say valuation clearance, what is the value of this particular asset today? And we go an extra mile to ascertain what will be the value when the final installment is paid after in 10 years' time. And today, this loan is granted to be repaid in 10 years' time against a mortgage of a property. What will be the value in 2031? So you may be wondering, how can you find out the value, estimated value? There are ways of ascertaining that. There are mechanisms available in your bank, in your finance company, or in your institution to ascertain that. So once you are satisfied with these two aspects only, we will create a legal charge called mortgage. We will create a legal charge defined as mortgage, legal charge. Now see that Mudalali, he didn't want to look into any of these. He was not even interested in creating a mortgage, nothing. Simply told him to keep the helmet and go. But as bankers, we can't do that. But if you take the step taken by the Mudalali, without ascertaining the ownership, without ascertaining the value, and simply creating a mortgage, you are putting your bank, you are putting your institution into a greater risk. So remember, these are the two important aspects which we have to satisfy ourselves prior to the execution of the mortgage. Is it clear? Any questions on what we have discussed up to now? Any questions? Is it clear to you all?
Yes, sir.
You can hear my voice, no? The image is clear, no? Image is clear. If it's not clear, please tell me. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Right. Thanks. Now we are coming to another important charge, because there was a question on this, I think, one of the previous session. We posed a question. Name 3 ways in which banks create charges. That was a question. I think not the last exam, one of the previous exams, there was a question. Name 3 ways in which bank creates charges. What are the 3 ways? Lien, pledge, and mortgage. There are various ways in which banks obtain security. Banks obtain security by various ways. However, generally and in common practice, the most important ways are lien, pledge, and mortgage. So these are the 3 ways in which we create charges. If there's a question, name 3 ways in which banks create charges, the answer is lien, pledge, and mortgage. However, none of the above charges, remember, none of the above charges entitle the bank to have the absolute title to the asset on which such charges are created. Now, these are all temporary charges. Even though we are creating a charge, these charges do not entitle the bank to have the absolute title. It doesn't transfer the ownership to the bank. It is only a temporary charge which we are creating. Number one is lien. Second is pledge. Number two is bond. Now we will take in brief what are these charges. When you say lien, a lien is defined as a legal charge created over a deposit. However, the depositor will remain as the owner of the deposit on which a lien has been created. The bank only creates a temporary legal charge over the deposit as security. So that's what we call it a letter of set-off. Whatever document you may take in your bank, there is a legal clause defined as letter of set-off, by which the deposit holder authorizes the bank to utilize the deposit and set off the facility, recover the facility in case of an eventuality. So the bank is creating, now if I come to your bank for a loan by giving my deposit, you are creating a charge over my deposit. That's what in banking terms, in legal terms, we call it a lien. You have created a charge, a lien. A lien is a charge, is defined as a legal charge created over a deposit. However, the depositor will remain as the owner of the deposit on which a lien has been created. The bank only creates a temporary legal charge over the deposit as security. Remember, we are creating a temporary legal charge. Now see, lien, you can even create a lien against somebody else's deposit, provided that somebody, that third party, authorizes the bank to create a charge. So that is what is called a lien. Is it clear? Is it clear to you all?
Clear, sir.
Right. Fine. So now we are coming to the next one. What do you mean by a pledge? In a pledge, the banker is entitled to have its exclusive possession until the debt is settled and has the power to dispose the pledged asset, although the ownership is vested with the pledger. An asset under pledge could be disposed of without the intervention of courts, provided it does not contravene the terms of agreement. So, in a pledge, what do you mean by pledge? I can give you a simple example. Listen to this very carefully. Let us assume I come to your bank. Let us assume that I walk into your bank. You are the branch manager. You are the manager. I come to your bank, introduce myself, or you may know me because you may have followed classes under me. So I come to your bank and say, sir, I want to open a letter of credit. Remember, listen to this very carefully. I'm giving an example because there will be a question on this. There will be a question, definitely there will be a question on pledge. So I say that I want to import 2 motor vehicles. I come and say that I want to import 2 motor vehicles from Japan. 2 Toyota motor vehicles I want to import from Japan. The invoice value is 10 million. The total value of the invoice is 10 million. So when I ask you to open this letter of credit, what do I say? I am telling you, can you open this letter of credit on nil margin? You all may have followed the trade finance class there. They would have explained to you all what is a letter of credit. Letter of credit means the bank gives an authority, confirmation to the bank in Japan that they will honor this total cost of these vehicles. Estimated value is 10 million. So when I ask you to open the letter of credit, now you as a banker, this is a practical situation which I am giving you. You as a banker, you know me. Let us assume that you know me because you have come for my classes, so you know me. So you want to help. So to some extent, you are convinced that I will not default. You are convinced now he will not default because he is importing the vehicle. But only problem is I say that I don't have the money to give you 100% margin. I don't have money to block. So can you open the letter of credit on nil margin? So nil margin means I am not giving any money to you. I am simply asking you to give a confirmation to the bank in Japan, letter of credit. I'm just giving a, using the simple term. So that lecturer in trade finance would have explained to you all what is a letter of credit. So you as a banker, you will be convinced. You will be concerned naturally. You will ask, to open on nil margin. You are a bit concerned. So you will ask, for whom are you importing this vehicle? So let me tell you that as an example, I tell you, no, I am engaged in car business. So I don't do it on a big scale. I am not engaged in car business, but I am just giving as an example to explain to you. So I say, I am importing 2 vehicles. I have already got 2 orders from 2 managers from your bank. So you will ask me, so who are these people? So then I will tell you, manager A and manager B from this branch. These 2 are the people who have agreed to buy the vehicle. I am importing the vehicle for them. So they tell me that the moment vehicles are released, cleared, they will buy it. I let hand over the vehicle to them. They will pay the cash for which they have got the staff loan approved from the bank. So I am only asking for the cost, the invoice value, the duty component, everything will be paid out of my money. Then what will you do? What will you do as a bank manager? What will you do? I am asking you, if you know the answer, just 1 minute I am giving. If you are the answer, what will you do? Will you open the LC or not? What will you do? Will you open the LC? Prior to opening the LC, what will you do? According to
those managers.
Very good. You will check with those managers. Excellent. You will check with the prudent manager. Will want to check it. So you will ask me, so can I check it with them? Then I will say, yes, go ahead and check it. Then you will check with those 2 managers and you will tell them, because you have told me, sought my permission. I have said, yes, you can check it. So you are dialing their numbers and asking them, so and so is in front of me. He says that he is importing 2 vehicles for you all. Just want to get a confirmation. Then they tell you, yes, we have got the staff loan approved. We are buying the vehicle from him. Then you as a manager, you are absolutely convinced that you are not going to have any problem in, clearing this consignment, clearing this document, because this gentleman he has got 2 ready-made buyers. So I have no problem. I can open the LC on nil margin. So you have opened the LC on nil margin without taking any cent, open the LC, inform the principals, then I thank you and I am going off. Now I am anxiously waiting for the arrival of the shipment because I had to clear the consignment. I am anxiously waiting for it. Counting the days. One fine day when I come close, I am checking with the clearing agent. Clearing agent is telling next Tuesday, your shipment is expected in Hambantota on next Tuesday, that is on the 14th of December, your ship is due to arrive in Hambantota. So I am anxiously waiting. What happens? Sunday night, I am getting an SMS from the news in brief, SMS text I am getting. There they have said the government has increased the tariff on motor vehicles. Now, earlier when the motor vehicles importation was not there, the tariff, the duty component was 300%. If the vehicle is costing you 2.5 million, you have to pay 7.5, close upon 7.5 million as the duty, I think. So now here I am getting a text of a news flash which says the government has increased the duty on motor vehicles almost double. They have imposed a substantial increase in the tariff. So I am working on the tariff, my God, to see the prices have gone up. The prices will go up because I have promised these two bank managers I can give the vehicle at this price. But to see now, the duty has been increased. So I had to pay double the amount as duty to clear the vehicle, for which I don't have the money. And then what happened? These two bank managers are also contacting me because they also have seen the news item. They also have got the SMS. So they contact me and they tell me, sir, did you see the news? So I said, yes. Then they said, sir, don't misunderstand. We, of course, will not be able to buy these vehicles. Why? Because we have got a staff loan approved for this amount. Now, with this duty component increase, we can't buy this. We won't be able to buy because as bankers, our hands are tightened. Our financial avenue is restricted, so we don't have the money. So now we have to go and we have to look for a second-hand vehicle. So these two buyers, confirmed buyers, due to circumstances beyond their control, they are not in a position to buy this vehicle. So they have withdrawn from the sale. They have withdrawn from the sale. So Monday morning, this happened on Sunday night. Monday morning, the manager contacts me and says, sir, your documents have come. Your documents have come. You can come and pay the money and take the documents. So I will tell the manager, sir, I will come and meet you. So I am going to the bank. Now you are the manager. I have come to you and I am coming with a problem. What is the problem? I am telling you, sir, I am sorry. I am not in a position to clear the document because I don't have the money, because these two people who agreed to buy the vehicle, even you yourself spoke to them. Now they say they can't buy it because they are due to the restrictions, limited financial resources, which has gone up due to the duty has gone up, prices have gone up. They can't buy it because they have put a staff loan for this amount. They can't buy. So I don't blame them. You can't blame them because this arisen due to a situation beyond their control. So they have washed their hand. They have withdrawn from the sale. They have withdrawn from the sale. Then you as a branch manager will ask, sir, what are you going to do now? Then I will tell you, so don't worry. Give me 2 weeks time. I will find alternate buyers. I was dependent on these people. I am not blaming them because this is a situation which nobody expected. But give me 2 weeks time. I will find an alternate buyer because I'll have to advertise in the papers. I'll have to put a paper notice in the KitAd in some of the websites. So I can get a buyer, but only it will take some time. Can you give me 2 weeks time? Then you will tell me, so if I give you 2 weeks time, if you don't clear the vehicle within 7 days, you have to pay additional demurrage charges to the ports, because if you don't clear the consignment within 7 days, you have to pay demurrage charges, they call it, because while it is there, you have to pay additional charges to the ports authority. The harbor, you have to pay. So you say, so if you don't clear it, you have to pay additional charges, demurrage charges you have to pay. So you have to clear it as quickly as possible. Then I will tell you, I don't have the money to clear it. Then only you will come forward. Listen to this carefully. You will offer me a loan defined as pledge loan. So you are telling, sir, we can give you a pledge loan. What is this pledge loan? When you say pledge loan, you will say, so you want 10 million to clear this. I'll give you 10 million. I'll give you 10 million. Which is a pledge loan. How does pledge loan work? But what will happen is you will release 10 million to my account. You will give a check favoring you will release 10 million, and then duty, of course, will be paid by me. 10 million, give the documents to me. So you are giving me a loan which is known as pledge loan. Immediately you are giving me a loan of 10 million. And you have recovered your dues on the document, the clearance document. You have released a loan, recovered your liability, and you have created a liability, 10 million, which is a pledge loan. You have transferred the liability and you have created a pledge loan. How does a pledge loan work? That means you will assign one of the bank officers will be assigned to me. So I have to take this bank officer with my clearing agent to Hambantota. So this bank officer will also come with me to Hambantota with my clearing agent. He will be there. So while the process is there, finally when the vehicles are cleared, the bank official also will come with me because he will want to know where I am taking this vehicle. So he will ask me, so where are you taking this vehicle? I will say I am taking the vehicles to my residence. So you will ask, you have parking space? Yes, I can park. I can park more than 5 vehicles. So then bank officer also will come to my house. So the 2 drivers have driven the vehicles, brought the vehicles to my residence, parked at my residence. Then what is the response of the bank official? He will take both the original keys and also the duplicate smart keys he would have taken. He would have taken, sir, can I have the keys? You give the key. Can I have the duplicate key? He give the key. He will lock the vehicles and he has gone. So what happens here? In other words, these 2 vehicles are under pledge to the bank. That is what is called pledge loan. These 2 vehicles are under pledge to the bank. Now the vehicles are parked at my residence. I can't use the vehicle. I can't even open the door. I can just look at the vehicle and wait. Why? I can't even take the vehicle for a trial run because why? The bank official has taken both the keys and gone. Now I had to go and I had to find the buyer. Why? Because from day 1 I had to pay interest. Then I have advertised the sale of the vehicle. After about 7 or 8 days, I have got one person who came and checked the vehicle and he said, I am prepared to buy this vehicle for this price. Then I have to take that person to the bank manager and say, so I have found a buyer. He's buying one of the vehicles. So the bank manager will tell me to deposit the money to my account. So the sales proceeds have to be deposited to my account. After it is deposited, bank will release one vehicle which has been sold. Then simultaneously, they recover part of the pledge loan. Liability will be reduced to half, 5 million. Then I have left it another 1 vehicle. So then I have to find another buyer for that vehicle. Then ultimately, when I find the buyer for that vehicle, I come to the bank. Bank will release a key and the loan is settled. This is what is called pledge loan. When you say pledge loan, I gave this example as an example, and you can grant pledge loans to a variety of customers, to a variety of purposes. Now, in the present day situation, the present context, the government has imposed a compulsory stipulation for the banks that they have to grant 20% of their portfolio should be channeled to SME sector. That means if you are granting 1 million, if your total portfolio is, say, 100 million, out of that 100 million what you have granted for the year, 20 million you should have granted for SME sector. 20 million. That has been stipulated by the central bank. They have made it compulsory for the banks to give 20 million for SME sector. What is the reason? Because banks are reluctant to grant loans to SME sector because it is a very weak sector. And that is one of the reasons why earlier it was very easy to buy a 3-wheeler. Now as it is, you can't buy because importation the ban is still there. But prior to the ban, most of the people, youngsters, once they are qualified, but they go to a bank, take a loan to buy a 3-wheeler, and they run a 3-wheeler. So as a result of that, there was no economic activity which takes place. So only the 3-wheel driver is benefited. No economic activity is taking place. So to make it difficult for these people to buy a 3-wheeler, the earlier government brought in legislation. At one stage, they even increased the license to obtain to drive a three-wheeler, you should have at least reached the age of 35. It was gazetted. To drive a three-wheeler, you should have at least reached the age of 35. But later, some people protested to the then president and then it was withdrawn. Why they made it? Because they found, according to a survey, 33,000 three-wheel drivers are degree holders. They are qualified. They didn't want to use their knowledge, brain in some other activity or some venture into any other business because this is an easy way. So because of that, the government also felt the bankers are not helping them. Why the bankers are not helping these people? Because SME sector, small and medium scale entrepreneur, because it's a very weak sector. So if you don't grant a loan to these people to buy a three-wheeler, what will they do? They will think of other option. They will think of other option to start an industry, to start some sort of business. So if they start some sort of business, you can see the economic activity which is taking place that will generate income, foreign exchange to the country, and at the same time, it will generate income. And I could share 2 or 3 examples. I'm not going to mention any names here. During my banking career at HNB, I have come across 3 such customers. Today, they are well-known people in the industry. If you go to a supermarket, their products are there. They also started in a small way. I could remember, these people, when they come, one particular customer, I could remember, we started with a loan of 50,000, SME loan of 50,000 rupees. He used to have a motorcycle, and every month we had to carry out an inspection because these were all SME loan granted through NDB at that time, project finance loans. So we had to carry out inspection every month. So the days we carry out inspection, this customer used to come to the bank. He used to come by bus and wait in the bank till I finish my work to accompany me in the bank vehicle to his factory, to his working place, to site for the inspection because he didn't have a vehicle. He had only a motorbike. Today, what is the situation? He has, this particular customer, he has about 500 vehicles. He has about 500 vehicles and he has established open branches in some other, neighboring countries, Bangladesh, India, Pakistan and all. He has branches. And very recently, they celebrated their 25th or 30th anniversary. They have put a supplement, double-page supplement in the papers, celebrating the anniversary. For that supplement itself, they would have spent about 3 million. Supplement itself, they would have spent about 3 million. And total of 1,500 people are working in that particular establishment. 1,500 people. So when I saw in the papers, when I saw this supplement, I immediately contacted this customer. I gave a call to him. I was not in touch with him, but I contacted. So through so many numbers, ultimately I was transferred to him, and then they asked me from who is speaking, from where I am speaking and all. Ultimately, it was transferred to him, and then he spoke to me, and I said, I introduced myself, sir. Then he said, sir, how can we forget you all? And I said, no, I just saw in the papers you have put a double supplement. And he had a long chat, and we remembered the first loan what we gave to this particular customer. So just imagine if we have not granted him that first loan, if we are rejected, he would have gone to some other bank. Today, see the income generated by this particular firm, company, well-established firm, and they have given employment to more than 1,500 people, and out of that, and in addition to that, they have 500 vehicles. So why I am giving this pledge loan as an example is, you may come across situations where you may want to grant loans to a particular, if a customer comes and says, I want to now see, we'll take the wash bay. Now, see, today you see, I have spoken about this particular example in my previous sessions, and there was a question also. Today, when you walk into, I want to ask you a question. Today, when you walk into under this COVID-19, even though you have taken the injections and the boosters are in the process of being given, today, when you walk into any business establishment, a salon or a restaurant or a hotel or a church or a temple or a mosque, what is the first thing you see? Can you all tell me? What is the first thing you see? Today, when you walk into an establishment, what is the first thing you see and what is the first thing you have to comply? Can you all tell me, according to you? When you all walk into a establishment, what is the first thing you have to do? Let us assume, I take the example, you are getting into a supermarket. When you are entering a supermarket, what is the first thing you have to do? Whether you like it or not, you have to comply with that. What is that?
Sanitizing?
Yes, very good. Sanitizer. Because there is a wash basin there. There's a wash basin. You press that wash basin and then the water flows. Then you have to wash your hands. So you find, now there was a question on this. A customer, I think not the last exam, previous exam, there was a question. One person walks into a bank and says, I want to start an industry. What is the industry? Listen to this carefully. There will be a question on this, similar questions. What is the industry? I want to start a business. I want to manufacture. I want to make wash basins with sanitizer facility. So just press the button, water will flow, wash basin. These wash basins are not imported. These are all manufactured locally. All these wash basins are manufactured locally. So I want to start a business. I want to manufacture. Then you will ask this customer, so do you have enough experience in this? He say, yes, I have experience. Who are the buyers? He say, no, I can sell it to all these places because wherever you go, there are wash basins. So my wash basin is very cheap, very cheap. I will give it at this price. So this is as an example. So in this, if such a customer walks into your establishment, your bank for a loan facility, say he asks for a loan of 1 million. So why he wants 1 million? I had to buy certain essential raw materials to manufacture these wash basins. So if such a customer walks into a bank for a loan of 1 million, you have no way of ascertaining his past records because he is new to the business. So only thing what you have to do is you have to monitor the loan. You have to supervise the manufacturer of the manufacturer of wash basin, and you have to find out who are the people who are going to buy this wash basin, whether there are any market for this. But the only risk in this particular business, apart from your monitoring, supervision, what is the risk you are having? Can you all tell me, according to your knowledge? What is the risk you will have in this business, in this particular individual's business? What is the risk you will have? Apart from, you are going to monitor it, you are going to supervise it. So there is no risk of any default. You have done the marketability, you are asking the customer, so who are the people who are going to buy it? He will say, I have ready-made buyers. Then you are going to supervise it. So here, what is the only one individual? One individual. You will ask this individual whether you are married. He said, I am married. But what is the business? What is the risk you are having here? Can you all tell me, according to your risk assessment, what is the risk you have if you had to grant a loan of 1 million to this particular person who says, I am going to manufacture wash basins to be supplied to supermarkets and to all the grocery shops, to all the leading establishments in the country? What is the risk you are having here? Can you all tell me? according to you? What is the risk you are having? Because you are here, you have to grant a loan because you have to identify people, because you have to, out of your portfolio, 20 million, 20% of your loan, portfolio loan has to be given to SME sector. So you have identified. You say, I can give this loan to this person, he will not default. I will supervise it. I will monitor it. I will supervise the sales. I will supervise the, manufacturing process. Apart from that, what is the risk you have here? Can you all tell me? What is the risk you will have? According to your knowledge, according to your assessment, what is the risk you have? Can you all tell me? If you are the branch manager, you are granting this loan, what is the risk you have?
So the demand for the product can go down?
Yes, very good answer you have given. Very good answer you have given. Demand for the product has gone. Even I have not thought about it. It's a very good answer, because the moment COVID-19 is brought under control, there won't be any demand for this product, because this is a temporary, there's a temporary demand at the moment. The moment COVID is brought under control, the demand will go up. Now, even today, you see people going here and there without face mask. Even though the government has been repeatedly telling the people to wear the face mask, still there are people who are happily walking about around the country without the face mask. I have seen instances. And there are people who when they talk, they remove the face mask and talk. There are people like that also. In spite of the regular, regular warnings given by the authorities, there are still people who are violating that. So as you correctly said, the demand of this product can go down. The moment COVID threat is eased out, the demand for this product will go up, because most of the outlets will not have this wash basin in their outlets. So the demand for the products will go up. That is a reason we have to give, these are all short-term facilities. So if the customer says, I want a loan to be repaid in 5 years, we can't give. Why 5 years? As you correctly said, the demand for the product will go off. So therefore, it will be a short-term facility. We have to grant the loan to be repaid within a maximum period of 6 months. Within a maximum period of 6 months, because he had to manufacture it, dispose it within 6 months. So if you are giving a loan of 1 million, you have to put the repayment period also, you have to match it for 6 months. Why? As you correctly said, the demand for wash basins will not be in existence after the COVID is brought under control. Very good. Is it clear, miss? Is it clear? Is it clear to you all?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
Apart from that, there is another. What is the other reason? You as a branch manager, you correctly said the demand will go up. So that's the reason we have mitigated that risk by reducing the repayment for 6 months. 1 million loan has to be, he had to manufacture it, settle this thing in the market, settle the loan within 6 months. Unlike other facilities, unlike when you are granting a loan for a person who is involved in some other business, here within 6 months, he had to settle it. Apart from that, you as a branch manager, you as a credit officer, according to you, what is the other risk you are facing on this particular individual? Can you all tell me? What is the other risk you are facing on this particular individual? There's another major risk. You ask yourself, you as a branch manager, you have correctly said that, a very good answer you gave. So we have mitigated that risk by reducing the repayment to 6 months. We are telling the customer, you have to manufacture within 6 months. You put additional people. He said, no, sir, I want 1 year. No, we can't give for 1 year because the government may relax the restrictions. Now, today's papers, I saw some of the restrictions are to be relaxed. So therefore, we we can't reduce the, we can't give it for 1 year. We have to give it 3 months or 6 months. Within 3 months, you have to manufacture, you have to deliver it, settle it. Apart from that, but if there is another major, what is the other risk you are having? Can you all tell me? What is the other risk you are facing? Can you all tell me? There's another risk. I'll give you a clue. This particular risk is beyond your control. What is that risk?
A lot of sanitizers are there.
Yes, that is also there.
Competitors?
Yeah, that is yes, that is also there.
Competitors?
Sorry?
Competitors?
Competitor. Very good. Both answers are correct. Lot of sanitizers are there. Competitors are there. So you will do the homework and you will ask the customer. Now see, there are a lot of competitors. Everywhere we find this. There are a lot of people who are doing this. So how are you going to compete in this business? Then he said, no, sir, I have got orders. So you will ask, from where we got the orders? From where we got the order? Then he says, I have got orders from, you know, some other regular, well-known business establishments. Who are the business establishments? For example, he says, Singer Company. He says, you know, Singer Company has not come for, I'm just telling. He says, I have got orders from Singer Company. They have wide branch network. So they are buying at the moment, they are buying from some other places. So I have contracted with them. They have agreed to buy from me for this price. So like that he produces. So that risk is also eliminated to some extent because he has convinced you that for his product, the moment he manufactures, he is going to supply to some of the well-known people like Singer, Abans, Damro, like that. He has some well-known people, organization, they have agreed to buy from this. So there is no risk of that. Within 3 to 6 months, within 3 months, he has to manufacture it. He's taking 1 million. So you will ask the customer, can you finish it in 3 months? He said, yes, sir. I will put day and night, I will work. I will put people. I can supply it. Apart from that, now you all have given very good answers, excellent answers you all have given. That those answers are correct. And what is the other one? The major risk, okay, 3 months he is going to supply it, finish it. You can get the money. Apart from that, what is the other? Apart from that, there is another risk. You are going to monitor it. Competitors also you have overcome. So repayment period also you have shortened it. 3 months or 6 months, you can't keep it for long because the moment the restrictions are eased, you won't find the sanitizer in the bottles in the supermarket. Even though now these are available at the supermarket, how many people are complying with that? They are just walking into the supermarket. At the very outset, at the initial stages, the security guard was there. He will insist, he will tell you to write the names, everything, and he monitors to see whether you are writing on the, if they have a book there, whether you are giving the full particulars. Now they also don't monitor because they are also sick of it. So as a result of that, there are people who are just walking into the supermarket without writing their names, without washing their hands. I have seen this. It is happening because the security people are also, they are also sick of it. So therefore, that's the reason why you have to grant this loan to be repaid within a maximum period of 3 months or 6 months. Apart from that, what is the major risk you are having according to your assessment? Think about it carefully.
Sorry, it's about license.
Sorry?
It's about license of which is related to the government instructions.
No, I don't think there is any license for that, but there are health authorities have given certain stipulations. He has to make this according to those stipulations. I don't know whether there is any, as far as I know, I don't think there is any license to be obtained because this is a simple product. So if the water flows in, that's all. So certain guidelines are given. So it has to be connected to the tank. So it is it has to be in a presentable way. You have to manufacture and give it to them. Just click the button, water flows. So I don't, you know, it's a good concern you raised, but I don't think there is any license required for that. Apart from that, what is, according to you are all young banker. If you are the bank manager, what will you, in your back of your mind, what will you think about it? You know this advance. Your advance is safe, provided you do your monitoring, supervision effectively. Your advance is safe. You have overcome the competitors. Why? He has given you documentary evidence to confirm the buyers. Singer, Abans, Damro, like that. He has given a whole heap of people. So they have confirmed. They have said, we are prepared to buy it at this price. We will buy it. He says, I have even shown them some samples. They have agreed to buy it. So you have no problem. Then the demand will fade away. That will not arise. That will not arise because why? You are going to grant this loan within the period of 3 months or 6 months. Because this COVID threat will be there till 2024, according to the CEO of Sri Lankan Airlines. I saw somewhere, he has said it will, in 2024 only, they are expecting normalcy to return in travel trade. 2024, although airports have been opened, but only in 2024, they are expecting normalcy to return. So therefore, but anyway, we can't wait till that. So we will grant this loan for 3 to 6 months. Apart from that, there is another major risk.
He might get COVID and the production will be disrupted.
Sorry, means?
He might get COVID and the production will be disrupted.
Yes, you have given the correct answer. You have come closer to that. You have come closer to that. So your answer is correct. You have come closer to that. Because you have said, if he gets COVID, what is the situation? Your answer is correct.
Finding working force.
Sorry?
Finding working force.
Finding working force. Yes, finding working force means that's also another concern, because I don't think he will have any problem in finding working force, because now after the lockdown, a lot of people are without jobs. Now, about more than 2 million people, daily paid wage earners. So like that, there's a demand for that. So that problem is not there. So finding working force, I don't think that will be a major concern. But the answer given by the other participant, that if he gets COVID-19, very good answer. That's the answer I was expecting. She has come closer to that. If he gets COVID-19, if he gets COVID and if he dies, what happens? If he gets COVID and what is the guarantee? Even though he has got the vaccination, he also may get COVID. The vaccination is not a passport for life. There are people who have been vaccinated also have got COVID. So if he gets COVID and if he dies, then what happens? How will you overcome that? How will you mitigate that risk? If he gets COVID and if he dies, how will you? Am I correct? Now you gave the correct answer. You said if he gets COVID. You said if he gets COVID. So I'm going one step further. If he gets COVID and if he dies, what happens? So you as a banker has to be concerned. You are not going to ask a customer, sir, have you got the vaccination? Now the vaccination card is also going to be compulsory. They are asking for now, as it is, some other places, they are asking. Now, yesterday I went to a place, they asked me whether I have got the vaccination card. Yesterday when I went to a particular place, before they allowed me in, they asked me whether I have got the vaccination. I said, yes. Fortunately, I have scanned the vaccination card and it's in my mobile. So I showed to them and they allowed me in. Even before the government could make it compulsory, already people have started. Some other organization, they have started. They are asking for the vaccination card. So you may ask this customer, sir, have you got the vaccination? He said, yeah, I have got the vaccination. Can I see the card? He is showing the card. Is it enough for you? Just because he is having the vaccination card, is it enough for you? If he dies, if he meets the accident and dies, what happens? The facility will go bad because his wife, if he's a married person, his wife and children will not be able to continue with their business because they don't have any experience. They can't go and supply goods to Singer and Abans and Demro. So you as a banker is exposed to that risk. How will you overcome that risk? Can you all tell me? How will you overcome that risk?
Insurance policy.
Very good. Excellent. You will overcome that risk by taking a life insurance cover. You will overcome that risk by taking a life insurance cover. So remember, when you are granting a loan to the SME, I have explained what is a pledge loan by giving the motor vehicle example. Similarly, when you are granting loan to the SME sector, you are giving a loan of 1 million to purchase raw materials. He will want the money to purchase raw materials. So the moment the raw materials are purchased, the raw materials and the finished products are under pledge to you, are under pledge to your bank. So you don't have to worry. You have to carry out periodical inspection, you have to supervise, and the only risk you are having is in case if this customer dies, like you correctly said, if he gets COVID, but you didn't want to go beyond that, but I went beyond that. If he gets COVID and if he dies, how will you overcome? You can mitigate that risk by taking a life insurance policy. Now, I must tell you all, there will be a question on this pledge. There will be a question. Definitely there will be a question. So what I'm going to do is, I wrote an article in the papers. It was published in the Financial Times about this particular SME sector pledge loan. How we grant a pledge loan, how we can take a life policy and cover all those things I explained. So that particular article I will share with you all. Tomorrow I will send it to you through IBSL. Menaka will send it to you all. Read that particular article carefully. There will be a question. Even last time also, I put a question. So that article talks about a customer who wants a facility to start a wash basin. But in your exam, it will not be wash basin, it will be something else. So read that carefully, study that carefully. There will be a question on that. So is it clear to you all? Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. So now that is what is called pledge. Now what is mortgage? Under a mortgage, the mortgagee, that the banker has special interest on the property mortgage while the title and the ownership remains with the mortgager. Now, in a nutshell, here everything is given. Lien, pledge, mortgage. In a lien, the borrower will remain as the owner of the asset on which a lien has been created. In a pledge, the banker is entitled to have its exclusive possession until the debt is fully settled and has the power to settle the pledged asset, although the ownership is vested with the pledger. A lien is a mere right to retain an asset, while an asset pledge could be disposed of without the intervention of courts, provided it does not contravene the terms of the agreement. In a pledge, remember, if the customer defaults, the bank can take over the asset and settle it without the intervention of the courts. Banks need not go to courts and get the court order to sell the product, sell the assets which are under pledge. Now, there are 2 vehicles which were under pledge to your bank. If I have defaulted, the bank has a right to take over the vehicle without the intervention of the courts. Under a mortgage, the mortgagee, the banker, has special interest in the property mortgaged, while the title and the ownership will remain with the mortgager. Is it clear to you all? If there is a question, name 3 ways in which bank creates charges. The answer is lien, pledge, and mortgage. Is it clear? Is it clear? Clear to you all?
Yes, sir.
Right. So now I will give you a short duration for you to have your tea of 15 minutes. So we will meet sharp at 11 o'clock. We'll meet. I'm just giving a short, I know you all are following from the comfort of your residences. So still for all, I will give you a short duration of 15 minutes. So 11 o'clock, please come back to your desk to listen to the remaining episode stories. So I will adjourn for the moment. 11 o'clock. Now it's 10:46. 11 o'clock, please come back. I will start sharp at 11 o'clock. I will start. Is it clear? Is it clear?
Okay, sir.
Right. Thank you. You all are there, no? You all are there? Can we start? Continue? Can we continue? You all are there?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Others, whatever others, can we continue?
Yes, sir.
Right. So now I just sent the article on the link of my article on microfinance to Menaka. He will send it to you all. The link will be sent. So please go through it. So now to continue the session, I explained to you all what is lien, what is pledge, and what is a mortgage. So now we are coming to another important point. Area when you say mortgages. When you say mortgages, there are two types of mortgages. Now, generally, normally when you all hear there's a mortgage, you are convinced the customer has given a mortgage or the bank has created a mortgage over a particular asset. But we must remember when you say mortgage, there are two types of mortgages which are in existence when we are taking mortgage. What are they? When you say mortgage, a fixed mortgage, now see there are two mortgages. What do we mean? We'll take the first example. A fixed mortgage. When you say a fixed mortgage will secure a particular liability and will cease after the fulfillment of the obligation by the mortgagee and cannot be enforced for any further advance. So when you say a fixed mortgage is when you say a fixed mortgage will secure a particular liability and will cease after the fulfillment of the obligation by the mortgagee and cannot be enforced for any further advance. In other words, secures a particular liability and cannot be enforced for any further advance. For example, if I come to your bank and if I have taken a loan, you have given me a loan of 2 million to be repaid in 10 years, term is 10 years. You have given me a loan of 2 million to be, as security, you have taken a mortgage over my property, house and property, and the loan is to be repaid within a period of 10 years. The final payment is due in January 2031. But after taking the loan within 1 year or so, I got some money somewhere. I have sold land or something. I have some extra money. So I come to the bank and I say, I want to settle the loan. So you have allowed me to settle the loan because that is my right. I have settled the loan. I pay the money. My loan is settled. 2 million loan you have granted to be repaid in 10 years. I have settled within 1 year. So when the loan is settled, that particular mortgage which I have executed, which you have taken to secure the loan, also becomes cancelled, becomes null and void. Why? Because you can't take that mortgage for any other loan. Why? Because that mortgage is a fixed mortgage. When you say it's a fixed mortgage, that mortgage is fixed to that particular loan as security. When you say fixed, we say no, it is fixed. When we say fixed, it is fixed. That is fixed for that loan. You can't remove that, you can't use it for some other purpose. That is what is called fixed mortgage. Even though the loan was granted for 10 years, you can't use it. Mortgage also gets cancelled. On the contrary, if it is a floating mortgage, what do you mean by floating mortgage? If it's a floating mortgage will enable the bank to grant a series of advances within the specified limit of the bond, and it also permits the continuation of the advance within the limit. That means that floating mortgage, even if supposing that for that particular loan, if you have taken a floating mortgage, if I have given you a floating mortgage, even though the loan has been settled prior to the stipulated repayment term, that mortgage will not get cancelled. The validity of the mortgage will remain intact. Why? Because it is a floating mortgage. So remember the concept of floating and fixed mortgage. A fixed mortgage will get cancelled once a loan is settled. A floating mortgage will be valid until its cancellation. That means that mortgage is valid even for 100 years. That mortgage is valid even for 100 years. You can grant facilities. I can settle the loan. You can grant me fresh loan. You can grant me, supposing if I have taken a loan of 2 million, I have paid 5 lakhs. And if you want to grant me additional loan of 5 lakhs or a temporary order, you can grant whatever facilities you can grant and secure it under that particular mortgage, because that mortgage is a floating mortgage. But if it is a fixed mortgage will get cancelled once the loan is settled. It gets cancelled. So I want to pose a question to you to see whether you have understood the concept of fixed and floating mortgages correctly. Let us assume that you are one of your customers. If I am your customer, you have approved a loan for me, 2 million against a mortgage of my house. So you are giving instructions to the bank's lawyers, instructing them to prepare a mortgage for 2 million covering my house as security to secure the loan. If the bank lawyer, not only if, he will write to you, he or she will write to you back and say, I have got your letter asking me to execute a mortgage, arrange a preparation and execution of a mortgage for 2 million. Please let me know what is the mortgage, whether it's a floating mortgage or a fixed mortgage. So if the bank lawyer writes to you seeking instruction from you regarding the type of mortgage, according to your assessment, what is the advice you will give according to your understanding? Can you all tell me? What is a mortgage you will advise the lawyer? Any guesses? What will you advise? If you get a letter from the bank lawyer asking your advice, I have got your letter instructing me to prepare a mortgage. Please let me know what is a mortgage you want, whether it's a floating mortgage or a fixed mortgage. What is the answer you will give? Any guesses? It has to be either
Floating.
yes, very good. Because you will say it is a floating mortgage. Because you will advise the lawyer execute a floating mortgage. Why? Because floating mortgage is beneficial to you, to the customer, because after settling that loan of 2 million, the customer can seek a fresh facility of 2 million and you can secure it against that existing mortgage, because there is no necessity for you to go and execute a fresh mortgage. So the customer can, avail the facility immediately. There is no stamp duty, there is no legal fee, because why? Your mortgage is already there. And even if you are granted any temporary accommodation against a leeway on the mortgage, now supposing 2 million, he has paid 5 lakhs and outstanding is 1.5 million. If you want to give a temporary overdraft, you can give it and secure it against that particular mortgage. Why? It is a floating mortgage. So remember, floating mortgage, because when we are granting loan, do we ask the customer what type, sir, your loan is ready? What type of mortgage you want? Do we ask? Yes or no? Do you all ask? If you are granting a loan to a customer against a mortgage, do we ask the customer, sir, your loan is ready? What is the type of mortgage you want? Do we ask? Yes or no? Do you all ask? Do you all ask the customer whether you want a floating mortgage or a fixed mortgage? Do we ask? No, we don't ask. But only thing is, what happens is sometimes we send a draft mortgage bond to the customer for approval. So, you know, when we prepare a draft mortgage bond, before executing the mortgage, we send it, the draft mortgage to the customer to approve it. So customer will go through it very carefully and he gives a concurrence saying, please proceed with the mortgage. So if it is a corporate entity, of course, sometimes they may object. They may say, no, we don't want a floating mortgage. We want only a fixed mortgage because we have no intention of seeking any additional facilities. So remember, floating mortgage is beneficial to the bank and also to the customers. Then you may be wondering, in that case, why don't we take as a general rule, why don't we instruct our lawyers to execute all our mortgages as floating mortgages? We can't do that. Why? There's a reason for it. One particular asset, we always go for a fixed mortgage. All our asset, whether it is whatever asset we are taking as security, we create a mortgage. All these mortgages, preferably, these mortgages are floating mortgage. But one particular asset, we always create a fixed mortgage. Can you all name what is this mortgage? According to you, one particular asset, we always take a fixed mortgage. Because all of the assets, we are creating a floating. One asset, we are taking a fixed mortgage. Can you all tell me what it is? What will be this asset on which we are creating only a fixed mortgage? Because when we are creating a mortgage, remember the main thing which you have to remember is when we are creating a mortgage, or even though I say the mortgage is valid forever, that particular asset which is secured by that mortgage should also remain intact. There's no point in having a mortgage if that particular asset is not there. So, in other words, that when we say the mortgage is valid forever, that particular asset also should be, validity should be intact until the cancellation of the mortgage. When we are saying mortgage is valid, then the asset also should be intact. But one particular asset, we always take a fixed mortgage, not a floating mortgage. Can you all tell me what it is? One particular asset. According to your knowledge, your assessment, think of some asset. It's always sorry?
Stock.
So I can follow. But what's that you were telling? Can you repeat it? I couldn't hear that. Don't worry. What's the asset you were telling?
Stocks.
No, stocks we always take floating mortgage. Apart, not stocks. Stocks, of course, it's a floating mortgage.
Is machinery?
Machinery. No, not machinery also. Not machinery also.
Vehicle?
Very good. Vehicle. Excellent. Answer is vehicles. Motor vehicles, remember, motor vehicles, we always take a fixed mortgage. Why? Because how can we say that when we take a mortgage and when we say the mortgage is valid until cancellation, we have to ensure that the particular asset which secures that mortgage also should be intact. So as far as vehicle is concerned, vehicle will not be there. Mortgage bond you may have, but vehicle will not be there. So vehicle, remember, motor vehicle, we always take a fixed mortgage. Now, if you are applying for a loan to buy a vehicle from your bank will take, what is the mortgage your bank will take? Fixed mortgage or floating? Your bank will take a fixed mortgage. But let us take another example. Let us take Indra Traders. Indra Traders, they are one of the leading importers, merchants of motor vehicles. Indra Traders, they are the leading importer. They were the leading importers of motor vehicles. Even still, they are doing engaged in the business of motor vehicles. If Indra Trade, and they have branches in Kandy and some other places, let us take a simple example. I want to test your knowledge. Simple example. Indra Traders comes to your bank. Your bank has approved a loan of, say, 250 million. Your bank has approved a loan of 250 million to Indra Traders. What is the security? Mortgage over motor vehicles, Toyota, Nissan, Honda, Kia, like that, various vehicles. Total value, estimated value is 500 million. Indra Traders have given a stock statement and they say we have 500 million worth of motor vehicles today. So we want a loan of 250 million. Your bank has approved a loan of 250 million against a mortgage over Indra Traders motor vehicles, consignment of motor vehicle totaling to 500 million. So here, what is the mortgage you will take? Floating or fixed? Against Indra Traders motor vehicle. I told you, for motor vehicle, we always go for fixed mortgage. But in this particular case, I am asking, yes.
Fixed.
Yes. The answer is floating mortgage. Why? Why do I say floating mortgage? Because here, unlike the other motor vehicle where you have taken a loan, you have been approved a loan to buy a motor vehicle, there I said we will create a fixed mortgage because the bank will create a mortgage over the motor vehicle, over your particular motor vehicle. You are buying a Toyota vehicle, serial number is given, everything is given, registration number is given. So the bank is creating a motor vehicle on that particular motor vehicle. So therefore, it is a fixed mortgage. But Indra Traders, they have given you stocks of motor vehicle totaling to 500 million, but they have not assigned a particular motor vehicle for this mortgage. They only say we have 500 million worth of motor vehicles, Toyota, Kia, Honda, like that, all the Nissan, Sunny, all the well-known brands. They say we have 50 Toyota vehicles, Toyota Vitz, 50 Toyota Premium vehicles, like that they have given. But they are not given the serial number, everything they are given. So therefore, here, as far as the bank is concerned, you are creating a mortgage over their stocks of consignment of motor vehicles. Because today, if Indra Traders has given you a stock statement for 500 million worth of motor vehicles, next week, if you go on inspection to Indra Traders, they will not have those same vehicles. They may have different vehicles, but they will maintain the stock value of 500 million, which you have to check 500 million, but they will have different vehicles because they can't have the same vehicle because they have to sell those vehicles. So therefore, for here in this case, because they are engaged in the business of motor vehicles, we will be creating a mortgage over, because if we create a fixed mortgage over the motor vehicle, then they won't be able to sell those vehicles. If you create a fixed mortgage over their motor vehicles, they can't sell the vehicles. Why? Because those vehicles are mortgaged to the bank. So the customer who takes those vehicles will not be able to take a loan from a bank. So therefore, we are creating a mortgage over a consignment of motor vehicles, branded motor vehicles of Toyota, like that they are given. So here it will be a floating mortgage. But if Indra Traders managing director comes to your bank and says, I want a loan of 50 million or 25 million to buy a brand new latest model of Benz. And he says, I want a loan of 25 million to meet the shortfall, covering the importation of a brand new latest version of Benz, 25 million. So the security will be mortgage over that particular Benz. But here, what will be the mortgage? Is it a fixed mortgage or a floating mortgage?
Fix.
Fixed mortgage. Why? Because that vehicle is fixed. So remember, I am giving these two examples to draw the point. If it is when they are giving a mortgage over a motor vehicle, as far as the bank is concerned, it's a stock of motor vehicle. We are not creating a charge over any particular motor vehicle, because if we create a charge over a particular motor vehicle, then they will not be able to sell it. So therefore, it is a consignment of motor vehicles totaling to 500 million. Is it clear to you all? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. Right. Now we are coming to another one. Category of mortgages. When you say category of mortgages, we call it primary, secondary, tertiary, concurrent. So let us examine in brief the types of mortgages generally. I am sure the people who are engaging credit will know the answer, but anyway, for the information of the others. Primary, secondary, tertiary, concurrent mortgage. Now, what is primary mortgage? When you say primary mortgage, a primary mortgage, when you say primary mortgage, is the very first mortgage executed to secure a facility. So if a customer comes to your bank for a loan, if I am the customer, if I come to your bank for a loan, and by mortgaging my property, you are creating a mortgage. For the very first time, you are creating a mortgage. Then we call that mortgage, we define that mortgage as a primary mortgage. Why do we call it a primary mortgage? Because this is the very first mortgage you are creating. Then after sometimes, the necessity has arisen for me to take a further loan from the bank. So I come to your bank and say, I want an additional loan of 1 million because I took a loan of 2 million. I couldn't complete it. So I need an additional loan of 1 million. What is security? A mortgage over my, additional mortgage over my property, which is already mortgaged to you by way of a primary mortgage. Then you are creating a mortgage. That mortgage will be categorized as known as secondary mortgage. Why is that? Because you are creating a mortgage for the second time. Then after some time, again I go to the bank and say that I want another facility of 1 million because I have run short of cash. I am unable to complete my house. Can you give me another loan of 1 million subject to the satisfaction of other criteria? I am talking only about the security. Then you will give me another loan by creating another mortgage for the third time. So it will be a tertiary mortgage. Why? Because it's a third mortgage. Like that, you can go on creating any number of mortgages. Tertiary, fourth mortgage, fifth mortgage, sixth mortgage, like that you can create. Secondary, tertiary mortgages rank in order subject to the existing mortgage. However, we could create, very important for you all to understand, we could execute any number of mortgages over an asset subject to the value of the assets to cover the overall mortgages. So when you are creating a mortgage over an additional mortgage, the main criteria is we have to ensure when we are creating a mortgage, the particular asset against which we have created a mortgage also goes up in value. It will definitely go up in value. Why? Because the customer takes additional loan, which is going to utilize towards the construction of the house or the property building, then naturally the value also will go up. So we have to examine, we have to ensure the value of the asset which is given as security also is adequate to cover any number of mortgages obtained as security. Any questions? Now, important factors to be considered prior to the execution of any additional mortgage. Any additional mortgage, remember, any additional mortgage executed to secure an advance subsequent to the primary first mortgage covering the same property asset should have adequate value to secure such an advance. we should ensure adequate precaution is taken to secure such an exposure by ascertaining the value of asset which secures the overall mortgage. Executing a mortgage for the sake of security will be a futile exercise and will have no value. So remember, whenever you are executing any additional mortgage, you have to ensure whether that particular asset has the value to secure the mortgage. Any questions on that? Any questions?
Yeah.
Yes. Any questions? Somebody, I want to ask a question. No questions? Any questions? Any questions? Can I move to the next one?
Yes, sir.
Can I move to the next one? You all are there, no?
Sure, sir. Okay.
Right. Right, thank you. Then concurrent mortgage. What do you mean by concurrent mortgage? Concurrent mortgage is a mortgage created, executed over an asset to secure facilities to two or more entities. So to give you an example, and for you to understand effectively the concept of concurrent mortgage, I'll give you a simple example. Let us take this floor tiles as an example. Now today, floor tiles, who are the main agents for floor tiles? Can you all tell me? Who are the main agents for floor tiles? Floor tiles, who are the main agents?
Sir.
Yeah, Rossel, very good.
Rossel.
Royal Ceramics, they are more or less, they are having 80% of the market share. Royal Ceramics is having, because now the government has, I think, they have stopped the importation of tiles. So Royal Ceramics, they are having the, more or less, they are having the monopoly. And you find Royal Ceramics, they have open branches all over the country. So today, even if you go to a village house, rural area, you find the house, most of the houses are tiled. Because Royal Ceramics, they are the biggest manufacturers and they are having a monopoly. So let us take, as an example, let us take Royal Ceramics. And later, what the example which I am going to share, I'm visualizing something. Let us assume one of your customer, well-known customer, he is thinking of venturing into the industry of manufacturing floor tiles. Now, Royal Ceramics, if you take Royal Ceramics, they started in a small way. They were originally, they were from H&B. We only granted them the first loan, I remember, at that time. And today they have even bought Lanka wall tiles and Lanka tiles also Royal Ceramics they have bought. So they are having the monopoly. So let us assume one of your customer has explored the possibility of venturing into this tile business. Your customer is venturing into tile business. He feels this is a very good business because Royal Ceramics is having the monopoly. Why not? I also explore the option of starting a tile manufacturing plant, wall tiles or floor tiles, because there's a very good demand for that. Now, today you find if you go to Royal Ceramics, you select a tile. Sometimes that particular style what you select is not available. Because we have faced that situation because it's not available. They immediately check from their various stores and from their stock inventory. They say, sir, these tiles are not available out of stock. You have to wait for 1 or 2 months. So then, that shows the demand. So this particular customer has explored the possibility of venturing into this tile business because he feels it's a very good business because the government also has restricted the importation of tiles. So now you are totally dependent on Royal Ceramics tiles. So here, there is another competitor is trying to enter. So he has got hold of some project people, engineers, to prepare a feasibility study. And they have done their study, research, market survey, everything. And they have given a very colorful buyer project report and said, it's a very good business. So they have worked out the total cost. So this particular business, the customer who is going to venture into this, he has his own land in somewhere in Homagama, running into several acres, more than enough to accommodate a factory there. So he has to build a factory, he has to import machinery from Germany or Japan. So now he is coming to your bank for a facility of 1 billion, 1,000 million. 1 billion, not M, 1 B. So let us assume that your bank, he has come to your bank. Let us assume that your bank is HNB. So your HNB as management have gone through the proposal. Their experts have gone through the proposal, done their, analysis, everything, and they have come to a conclusion it's a very good business. Why? Because there is a tremendous demand for tiles here, especially importation of tiles also have been banned, prohibited. So this customer will have only one competitor, which is Royal Ceramics, which he can easily compete. So they say it's a very good proposal. What is the security? Mortgage over their land at Homagama and the factory complex which is to be built and the machinery which is to be imported from Germany. So the bank management have gone through and they have come to the conclusion it's a very good proposal. But they have one concern, why should we take the entire burden? Why not share this facility with another bank, with one of our other competitors? Prudent bankers will want to share their risk with another bank, with a bank or banks. Why should we take this? We will share this with another bank. Then HNB management communicates with NDB. As an example, we'll take NDB. And they tell NDB, we have a very good proposal. One of our customer wants to start a manufacturing plants towards manufacturing wall tiles, floor tiles and wall tiles. And he has given a project proposal which we have gone through it in detail. Do you like to share part of this exposure? 1 billion, out of the 1 billion, we will give 500 million. You can give 500 million, whether you like to share. Then the NDB management will want to independently go through the proposal. So everything is sent to NDB. So NDB management will also go through the particular proposal and then they also come to the conclusion it's a very good proposal. We are prepared to share 500. So 500 for HNB, 500 for NDB. Customer wants 1 billion. As far as the customer is concerned, he is not bothered. He is not telling that I want the whole thing from HNB. No, he wants the facility. So HNB will say, okay, we will give 500 million. NDB will give 500 million. Overall, you will get 1 billion. Then coming to the security, what is security? Security will be a mortgage over their factory complex and the building to be constructed and the machinery to be imported. Total value will go up to 1.8 billion or something, or even 2 billion because their equity also they are putting. So both HNB also they want a mortgage, NDB also we have to give a mortgage. So in other words, both these banks have to execute a mortgage. So that mortgage is defined as concurrent mortgage. Why do we say concurrent mortgage? Because this is a mortgage which has been executed to cover the facilities to be given to two banks, both banks. So both banks will execute the mortgage concurrently with the other bank. So both banks will have equal rights over this particular mortgage. So this is what is defined, called as concurrent mortgage. So if there is a question, what is your understanding of a concurrent mortgage? The answer is concurrent mortgage is a mortgage created over an asset to secure facilities to two or more entities. I gave you as an example, but you may have so many examples. You may want to give loans to two individuals against the same property. So this is what is called concurrent mortgage. Is it clear to you all? Understood? Is it understood? Understood concurrent mortgage?
So can you repeat it?
Yes. When you say concurrent mortgage, it's a mortgage created, executed over an asset to secure facilities to two or more entities. That means supposing if you are granting a loan to a particular customer, if a customer wants to start a business, say manufacture of wall tiles, he wants 1 billion, not million, 1 billion, 1,000 million. So if he comes to HNB says they have gone through it and they have come to the conclusion it's a very good facility, very good proposal, but they want to share this particular facility with another bank. Then they contact NDB and tell NDB we have a very good proposal for 1 billion. We will give 500 million. Do you like to share the other 500 million? Then NDB management will also go through it carefully, and if they are satisfied, they will say we will share it. Then what is security? Both banks will have to take a mortgage covering their factory complex to be constructed in Homagama, the land, the building, and the machinery. So both banks will execute a mortgage concurrently. So that particular mortgage is defined as concurrently. Both banks will have equal rights. In other words, concurrent mortgage is a mortgage created, executed over an asset to secure facilities to two or more entities. Is it understood, miss? Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Right. What about the others? Is it clear? Is it clear to you all?
Yes, sir.
Right. So now we are coming to another mortgage, third-party mortgage. When you say third-party, what do you mean by third-party mortgage? Now let us take an example. I come to your bank for a loan. I want a loan of 2 million. And you may ask me, sir, what is the security you can give? Because you will want some sort of security, because today I don't think we can go to any bank and ask for a loan because there is a risk factor as far as we are concerned. What is the risk factor? Can you all tell me as far as we are concerned? What is the risk factor? As far as we are concerned? As far as I am concerned? What is the risk factor? If I come to your bank for a loan of 2 million, will you give? What is the risk factor for you as far as I am concerned? Can you all tell me? What is the risk factor? You all are handling credit. So if I come to your bank for a loan of 2 million, what is the risk factor?
Repayment.
Sorry?
Repayment.
Yeah, repayment. You are coming closer to that. You don't want to tell the risk factor. What is the main risk? Very good. Risk factor is the repayment. What is the risk? What is the major concern you have?
Coverage.
Coverage. Coverage means?
Security.
Yes, security. That's right. Security. Then, yeah, you are coming closer to that. As far as I am concerned, you as a banker, what is the risk factor for you? As far as I am concerned, can you all tell me?
Age.
Age. Very good. Excellent. Because the age. Because I don't think we can go to any bank and apply for a loan because the bank will not give us a loan. Because even though the retirement age has been increased to 65, still bankers are reluctant to grant loans to people who are above the age of 55 because there is a risk factor there. So as you correctly said, the age, you are concerned as age. As you are concerned of my age. So when a customer walks into your bank for a loan, the first interview you have with the customer will give you so many things. So the body language and the more than anything, when the customer walks in, when you look at the customer, a banker will be in a position to assess that particular person's credit worthiness and also the risk factor, as you correctly said, the age. So you are concerned about the age. And you will not tell me as a customer, you will not tell me, sir, your age is a concern, so therefore I can't grant a loan. But you will not tell me that. We will never tell that to a customer. But you will ask, as somebody said, the security. You will ask, so what is the security you can offer? You will want some security. Then if I tell you that I don't have any asset, I am staying in a rented house. Do you have a vehicle? I don't have a vehicle. I don't have a vehicle. I don't have a house of my own. I am staying in a rented house. So then, but you will insist on some security because of my age. You will not tell about the age to me, but in the back of your mind, that is a concern you are having. So therefore, you are asking for so many, you are asking so many questions. And you are asking, sir, can you give a security? So if I say I don't have a security to offer, I don't have any assets to offer, then if I tell you that, sir, my sister is having some assets. I have a sister. She has many assets. She is a rich lady. And if I ask my sister to give one of her property as security, as a help, my sister will give me her property as security, one of her property as security. Are you prepared to consider my sister's property and give me a loan to me? Then you will say, yes, we can take your sister's property and give you a loan. If you do that, that is defined as third-party mortgage. Why do we call it a third-party mortgage? You are creating a mortgage over somebody else's property, a third party's property as security to grant a loan to me. So now bankers are now not taking third-party mortgages. When you say third-party mortgage, a third-party mortgage is a mortgage created over an asset of a different entity not connected to the facility approved to an individual party. So that means we are creating a mortgage over an asset owned by a third party. It will be prudent to avoid third-party mortgages. However, in case of a compulsion towards the acceptance of such a security, certain steps should be taken towards strengthening the security to avoid any legal complications. Under parate action, auction any third party, we cannot auction any third party mortgage. That I will explain what is parate action. So now banks are now not going for third party mortgages. Why the banks are now not going for third party mortgages? Because there was a Supreme Court judgment which was given when a bank wanted to go for parate action. When you say parate action, means they wanted to auction the property of a borrower. When a borrower defaulted, the bank wanted to auction the property of the third party. That means I have given my sister's property as security to secure the loan taken by me, and my sister, when I defaulted the loan, the bank wanted to go for parate action. Don't worry about parate action, I will explain to you all later. When the bank wanted to go for parate action, the sister went to the courts and said, my brother has taken a loan and he has defaulted. Now the bank is trying to auction my property, which is very unfair. I gave my property as a help to enable him to take the loan. Now, just because he has defaulted, now they are trying to auction it. Then there was a court ruling given. Supreme Court gave a ruling. What did they say? They told the bankers, you can't auction third-party mortgages to recover a facility. That means you can't go for parate action if it is a third-party mortgage. Because third-party mortgage, you can go. So then what is the remedy? Can you all tell me what is the remedy? How can you overcome this third party?
Excuse me, sir. Could you please explain it again? I didn't get it.
Yeah. Now, when you say third-party mortgage, if I take a loan, if I listen to this carefully, miss, if I take a loan and if I don't have any property to offer as security, my sister, I tell the bank, my sister is having a lot of properties. Can you take one of my sister's property and give me a loan? And you take my sister's property and create a mortgage over my sister's property. That is known as third-party mortgage. Why? Because you are creating a mortgage over somebody else's property, a third party, to enable me to take a credit facility from your bank. So therefore, it is a third-party mortgage. So when I defaulted the loan, the bank wanted to auction the property of my sister, owned by my sister. Then my sister went to the courts, telling the courts, now I have given my property as security to the bank to enable my brother to take a loan. My brother has defaulted. Now the bank is trying to auction my property. Then the court gave an order, third-party properties, you can't go for parate action. I will explain what is parate action later. So in other words, they said, third-party mortgages, you can't auction. Is it understood, miss? Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Is it understood? Right.
Yes.
So now, so what is the remedy? What's the remedy? How can you overcome this third party concept? What's the remedy? Can you all, according to your understanding, how can now banks, on the strength of the Supreme Court judgment given, bankers did their homework and now they are avoiding third-party mortgages. Now banks are now not taking third-party mortgages because of the Supreme Court ruling, because they can't auction the property. So no point in taking a sister's property because you can't auction you can't go for parate action. So how do you overcome that? If you are the manager, if you are the credit officer, how will you overcome this concept of third party? How will you overcome? Can you all tell me? How will you overcome?
Joint loan
Joint
can
loan.
be considered.
Yes, very good.
Joint loan.
Yes, amalgamate. Very good. You can make the third party a joint borrower. You can amalgamate the third party to the borrowing. So that means if my sister is giving a property, you will make my sister a co-borrower. You will make my sister a joint borrower. If you do that, the concept of third party is completely eliminated. Completely. There's no third party. So now bankers, what they do is they are making the third party a joint borrower, a co-borrower. They are amalgamating that third party also to the borrowing. By doing that, there is no third party. So now bankers, what they do is they are making the third party a joint borrower. Is it clear? Understood?
Yes, sir.
Right. How about the others? Understood?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Okay.
So now this is the ruling. Supreme Court mortgage third-party assets can be mortgage third-party asset can be sold orders. Supreme Court in the same time here. Now this is a different case. This is a different case where Yashodhara holding. That's a different case. So that particular Supreme Court ruling is, I don't have it here. But later on, subsequently, the Supreme Court gave a ruling. Again, there was a case where the third party, although they have made it a joint borrower, still there was another case in a different bank where that particular owner of the property went to courts. But the Supreme Court gave a ruling and said, if the third party has some connectivity to the borrowing, if the third party has some connectivity to the borrowing, you can go for parate action. That means now here the third party he or she has some connectivity. How have we connected? By making them a direct borrower. We have made them a co-borrower, joint borrower. Then Supreme Court has said, even though it's a third-party property, you can go for party action. Why? Because the third party has some connection to the borrowing. So if there is some connection to the borrowing, you can go for party action. You can auction the property. So now remember, banks are now not going for third-party mortgages. In the sense, they are going for third-party mortgages by making the third party a joint borrower. So you may come across in your credit assignment, if you come across a situation where a customer is unable to give a property as security, he may come forward and say, I have my wife's property, I have my brother's property, my mother's property, my father's property, my sister's property. Will you take? Yes, you can take the property by making that person a co-borrower. A co-borrower. Understood? Is it clear? Is it clear to you all?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now coming to the next important aspect, make a note of this particular slide. I think last time there was a question on this. What are the factors to be considered towards assessing the acceptability of a security? The answer is in this slide. If there is a question, what are the factors to be considered in assessing the acceptability of a security? These are the important factors. Number one is ownership and title of the asset offered as security. So remember, before you take the property as security, an asset as security, the number one criteria is we have to ascertain the ownership and title. That will be explained to you all, so you don't have to worry. I will explain to you all. The ownership and title of the asset offered as security should be ascertained, should be checked. How do we check? That will be explained. Then its realizable value in case of an eventuality. We'll have to find out its realizable value. What is the value we can realize in case of an eventuality which could arise due to non-payment? How much can we get? Then its longevity, durability, whether this particular asset will remain intact until the final repayment of the exposure. That's why when I ask you all whether we can take a motor vehicle as security for a loan to be repaid within 10 years, somebody said we can't take it because there is a depreciation value. So whatever security we take, the prime responsibility of you as a banker is to ensure this particular security will remain intact until the final repayment of the loan, which will be 2031 or which could be 2036 or which could be 2040, 20 years. Whether this particular security will remain intact. Then comes the marketability. Whether we can market this, whether there will be any buyers. So these four factors have to be ascertained by you when you are processing a credit facility. When you are checking the security aspect, you have to satisfy these four components. Is it clear to you all? Is it clear? Any questions on this? Any questions? Any questions on this? Can we move to the next one?
Sure, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. Now, if I ask you, now if a customer comes to your bank for a facility, as far as you are concerned, as far as the bank is concerned, what is the best security a bank can get? you can get to secure a loan, what is the best security you can select from your menu card? Can you all tell me?
Property.
Sorry?
Property.
Yes. Yes. Immovable property. Property means immovable property. Attributes of good security. Easily disposable assets are considered as good and strong security. In other words, immovable property, easily disposable assets, we consider as good, solid and strong security. So when somebody asks what is the best security you can obtain, it is immovable property. It's immovable property. Definition of an immovable property under the, according to the Mortgage Act number 6 of 49, stipulates land includes things attached to the earth or permanently fastened to anything to the earth and estate or interest in or over land. In other words, land which cannot be removed, a building which cannot be removed. So that's why we, as bankers, we like to go for immovable property as security. Now, category of immovable property. What are the category of assets which comes under immovable property? House and property, land and building, apartments, condominiums, immovable machinery. There are certain heavy machinery which cannot be removed easily. We consider it as immovable. Then always considered as first class security. Always considered as first class security. Building, land, considered as first class security. Why do we consider as first class security? What are the benefits we bankers could derive? Now you can see from this particular slide. Now there are a whole heap of securities which are listed here. Life insurance policies, movable asset, cash security, life insurance, personal guarantee, machinery. Above all these securities, we consider immovable property as first class security. Why do we consider immovable property? What are the benefits which we could derive in obtaining immovable property as security? What are the benefits? The benefits are, when you say immovable property, the value is not only, you all can see this slide, no? You all can see this slide because I can't see you all, I can't hear you all, I can't see your faces. Only thing I have to depend on your response. Can you see this slide? Because can you all
Yes,
see
sir.
it? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Right. The benefits in obtaining immovable property. If there's a question, what are the benefits a banker could derive in obtaining immovable property? The answer is here. The value is not only stable, it is on an increasing trend. As you all know, the value on an immovable property will always go up. The value always goes up. The possibility of value on an immovable property coming down, dropping is very, very remote, very rare. It always goes up. Due to exceptional circumstances, value may come down, but that is a remote possibility. That's a remote possibility. So always remember, if you are taking an immobile property as security, the value will always go up. Not only stable, it's not only stable, it is on an increasing trend. Number two, bank has a solid legal right over the property. You have a solid legal right. Even other property assets also you have a right, but here you have a solid legal right over the property. Nobody else can come and claim ownership. Why? Because your lawyers have examined the property value, title, and so therefore you have a solid legal right over the property. The number 3, solid asset, the value remains intact and does not depreciate, unlike motor vehicles, unlike stocks. Here, the value remains intact. Value is stable, remains intact and does not depreciate. Parate execution ensures easy realization in case of an eventuality. I will explain what is Parate in my next slide, so don't worry about that. Parate execution ensures easy realization because under Parate execution, you can auction the property without the intervention of the courts. Motivation on the part of the borrower to honor their commitment in view of the valuable security held by the bank. There is a greater motivation on the part of the borrower to honor their commitment in view of the valuable security held by the bank. Because the borrower will somehow or other honor the commitment because he or she will know, is aware, I have given a very valuable property as security. So if I don't settle my loan, bank may auction my property, bank may settle, bank may sell the property. Why? Because I have given a very valuable security. Easy to monitor the asset and less management cost. For the banker, for you as a banker, it is very easy for you to manage this particular asset. Why? You don't have to carry out periodical inspections because the asset is there. Nobody can remove the asset. And less management cost, unlike stocks, unlike motor vehicle. Peace of mind to the banker. If you are the manager of the branch, you have absolute peace of mind. Why? Because you have secured your portfolio against immovable property. Now, I can share with you another episode. In one of the banks where I was attached to, one day the MD at a meeting told me to carry out an inspection to a particular branch. He said this particular branch has a lot of overdues, a lot of NPAs. And he wanted me to carry out an inspection, speak to the branch manager and find out what is the cause of this. So I went to visit this particular branch, but the manager was not at all worried. He was having complete peace of mind. And he told me, sir, I have certain facilities have gone bad. But all these facilities, when you check, you will see all these facilities are secured against immovable asset. For a loan of 2 million, I have taken properties valued for more than 10 million. I know that due to certain problems, the customer is unable to pay the loan, but the bank need not worry. As far as the bank is concerned, their exposure is safe. Why? Because we have taken immovable property as security. In other words, the bank manager had peace of mind to the banker. Is it clear to you all? When you look at this slide, do you agree with me or disagree? If you don't agree, you can tell me. Do you agree with all this? What are the benefits in obtaining immovable property as security? The answer is there. Is it clear to you all? Is it clear to you all?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Now I want to ask you another question to see whether you are. Apart from all the benefits which I have listed here, there is also another benefit which is available to you as a banker if you are taking immovable property as security. Can you all tell me what is the other advantage you have which is not listed here if you take an immovable property as security? What is the other benefit you can derive? Look at this particular slide, and there is another benefit which you could derive if you take immovable property as security. Any guesses? If you take immovable property as security, that will prevent the customer from going from your bank to another bank. Why? He can't go to another bank without your concurrence if you have taken immovable property as security. Because if he has mortgaged his property to your bank, he can't go to another bank without your blessings. In other words, you have to give the concurrence. Why? You have created a mortgage. Even if another bank approaches him, he can't go because he will have to come to you and you have to release the mortgage. So he'll have to come and tell you, sir, I am going to another bank. Then you will ask the customer, why are you going to another bank? He will say, no, they are giving me some additional facilities. So you will say that I will also give the additional facility which you are trying to get it from the other bank. So in other words, immovable property mortgage, apart from all these benefits, the other important benefits which is not listed here is the customer cannot go to another bank without your concurrence. Is it clear to you all? Do you all agree with me or disagree? Agreed or disagree? Is it clear? Is it clear? Can we move to the next item?
Agreed.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Right. Now, coming to the next one, I was telling you all about this parate execution. What is parate execution? Parate execution is a Roman Dutch law concept which gives all licensed commercial banks the power to sell a mortgage property. The exceptional feature of this act is that it gives the power to a bank to proceed with the sale of a mortgage asset without the intervention of a court of law in case of a default. Only a board resolution by the bank's board of directors is required. The Recovery of Loans by Banks Special Provisions Act 4 of 1990 extends the power of parate execution to all private commercial banks. Prior to the enactment of this act, powers of parate action were limited only to state banks. The limitation has now been increased to 5 million. In other words, what I will explain to you all in a nutshell. If I have come to your bank for a loan of 5 million, you have taken a loan, you have given me a loan of 5 million against a mortgage of my property, immovable property. And if I default, you can send warning letters to me, and then you have the right to auction the property, provided the original amount of the loan was 5 million. The original amount of the loan should have been 5 million and the security should have been immovable property. Remember, these are the two important components of parate action. Number one is the original amount should have been 5 million and the security offered should have been an immovable property. Then if I have defaulted, you have the option, I am using the word option, you have the option of auctioning the property without the intervention of the courts. So you can see the powerful weapon you are having. Powerful weapon you are having. Remember, if there's a question, what is your understanding of a parate action? That means the bank has the right to auction the property without the intervention of the courts, provided the original amount of the loan is 5 million and the security offered is an immovable property. Supposing if the loan amount was 2 million and with the interest component it has come to 5 million, Can you go for parate action? You can't go. Why? Because that stipulates the original amount should have been 5 million. Supposing from the original amount, the outstanding has come down to 3 million, can you go for parate action? Yes or no? I am asking the question from you. Original amount was 5 million. The outstanding has come down to 3 million. Can you go for parate action?
Yes.
Yes, you can go. Yes, you can go. Why? Because the original amount was 5 million. The outstanding has come down to 3 million. You can go for parate action. If the original amount was 3 million with the interest component, it has gone to 5 million. You can't go for parate action. But remember, when you say parate action, it is the last option and not the first option. Why do I say that? Take a case. I have come to your bank for a loan. You have granted me a loan of 5 million. You have given me a loan of 5 million. Mortgage of my property. I have mortgaged my property. You have given me a loan of 5 million. I have been paying the installments on the due date. After taking the loan after 2 years, my outstanding has now dropped to 3 million or 4 million or whatever the amount. But due to some financial constraints, difficulty, I am unable to pay the loan. I have lost my job, or I have got into some financial difficulty. It is natural, anybody can get into financial difficulty, especially under the present situation. The central bank has put a stop to all these parate executions and auctioning of the seizing of leasehold vehicles up to 31st of March 2022. There is a stipulation by the central bank. You can't go for parate action. You can't auction the property. You can't seize the vehicles on lease facilities up to 31st of March 2022 because of the COVID. Now, apart from that, let us take a simple case. I have taken a loan from your bank. Original amount is 5 million. Mortgage my property. I have been paying the installment on the due date. Due to some financial constraint, I have got into some difficulty. And as a result of that, my loan is in arrears. My loan is in arrears. So I come to your bank and say, sir, my loan is in arrears. So you are asking me, you are sending threatening letters. So I ask you not to go for parate action. You are threatening me. You as a bank manager, as a credit officer, you are saying, no sir, we can't grant you any more time because you have defaulted. I say, yes, I have defaulted. Can't you give me time? So you say, no, we can't give you time because we have the right of going for auction. We are going to auction your property. We are going to auction your property. If you take that step, and in spite of my repeated pleadings, appeals to you not to take that steps, and if you still go for parate action by threatening me, I have the right to go to courts to seek an intervention. So I can go to the courts for an injunction. I can go to the courts and tell the courts, I have taken a loan from this bank. I have been paying the installments on the due date. For the last 6 months or 1 year, I couldn't service the loan. Why? Because of the COVID. Now of course, there's a injunction issued by central bank. But apart from that, let us assume a normal case. So I say, I can go to courts and say, I have lost my job due to the COVID. I have lost my job. I have lost my income. So I am not denying the liability. I am only appealing to the bank not to auction the property, because if they auction the property, my family, I will be on the road, my family will be on the road. I am only asking the bank to give me further time, which the bank has refused. Then the courts may, after taking my pleadings, tell the bank not to auction the property, and they may issue an injunction. So the courts may issue an injunction preventing the bank from auctioning the property. That's the reason why we tell all young bankers like you all, even though the right of parate action is there, remember that should be your last option and not the first option. Not the first option. You can utilize the option of auctioning the property under parate action only if all your options fails. Your recovery mechanism has failed. You have been speaking to the customer, you are writing letters, you have visited his residence, he has given a lot of undertakings. All the undertakings have failed. He has not adhered to. Then you can go for parate action. That is the reason why in recoveries, especially when I conduct recovery lectures, I always tell the bankers, young bankers like you all, always you must get everything documented. The customer comes and says, "Sir, can you give me 2 weeks time to set the loan?" Will you just accept it? No. You will ask the customer to give it in writing. Very many times we tell the customer, "So, okay, can you give us a letter?" Then he will write a letter and give it to you, saying that I will settle it within 2 weeks. And if he doesn't adhere to within the undertaking, by the undertaking given in settling the liability within 2 weeks, and if he seeks a further period of 2 weeks, then again you must ask for a letter. And if you are speaking to the customer over the phone and saying, regarding, "Sir, this is regarding your loan," then immediately you must fire a letter under registered cover to the customer. This refers to the telephone conversation I had with you today, wherein you undertook to settle the facility within 2 weeks. All those letters should be in your file. Why I say it should be in your file? Because in case if the customer goes for an injunction, you can counter his pleadings. You can go to courts and tell the courts, "No, we have been talking to this customer for the last 3 years. He has been telling the same story." Then the courts may refuse an injunction. And if he goes for injunction, your lawyers will ask, bank lawyers will ask the file. And lawyers will say, he has gone for injunction. Now he is telling that he has, you all have not been considerate. You all have not listened to his pleadings. Then you can produce all those letters to your lawyers and tell the lawyer, "No, we have been talking to the customer for the last so many months, years," and you can counter that. So remember, parate action is the last option and not the first option. I always tell my bankers, remember, parate action is the last option, not the first option. Any questions on this parate action? Any questions? Any questions? What is the limit on the parate action? Can you all tell me? What is the amount?
5 million.
5 million. 5 million, provided if it is immovable property. Now the enactment, the amendment empowers banks to go for immovable asset also. That I will discuss it later. So remember, parate action is 5 million. The original amount should have been 5 million. The asset should be immovable property. You have the right to go for parate action. When you say parate action, what do you mean by parate action? That is, the banks have the right to auction the property without the intervention of the courts. Without the intervention of the courts. Now the limit is 5 million. If I ask you another question just to see whether you are aware of it, when this act was passed in 1990, giving the parate action option to all the private banks. Prior to that, it was available only for state banks. What was the limit in 1990? Can you all, any guesses? What was the limit in 1990? At that time, what was the limit? This 5 million was increased in 2000 and 2009 or 2011. Prior to that, what was the amount? What was the amount? Any guesses? According to your knowledge, your assessment, this was increased to 5 million only in 2009 or 2011. Prior to that, what was the limit? What was the amount? Any guesses?
No limit, sir.
No, there was a limit, miss. There was a limit. The limit was 150,000. At that time, it was 150,000. In 1990, it was, according to the Act, it was 150,000. So that means if a customer who has taken a loan of 150,000 by mortgaging his house or property, the banks have the right to auction the property without the intervention of the courts if he has defaulted. So why did the government bring in legislation to extend the limit to 5 million? Why did they increase the limit to 5 million? Because the government felt banks have been misusing this parate action. Because if a customer has defaulted and if he has given an immovable property, bankers were going on auctioning the property to recover their liability. So therefore, representations were made to the government at that time, asking the government to reconsider this limit of 150,000 because the banks have been misusing this particular act by auctioning the property. So then the government also intervened, bankers protested, then the government said, no, we gave you a very powerful weapon, but you all have been abusing, misusing. So therefore, we have decided to increase the limit to 5 million. Just imagine, from 150,000, the limit was increased to 5 million. So the bankers protested, bankers lost a very powerful weapon. So just imagine, from 150,000, they have increased to 5 million. So now the bankers have been very, very careful in using this parate action, because if they again misuse it, the government may consider enhancing the limit to 10 million. So therefore, the bankers are now very careful, because they have been abusing it. They have not abusing, they have been misusing it. If a customer defaults, they have been auctioning the property. So therefore, the government felt we have to consider enhancing the limit to 5 million. So now if a customer who has taken a mortgage facility by mortgaging a property, and if the limit is, if the loan amount is less than 5 million, you can't go for parate action. Any questions on that? Any questions on that? Now, apart from this, when you say parate action, the bankers are in possession of a very valuable tool, because when you say parate action, what do we mean? When we say parate action, we will now here in this particular definition of a parate action, parate execution is a term of defaulting customers of a bank fear most. The customers borrowers are frightened. When we say parate action, borrowers are frightened. Parate is a Dutch term which means immediate, and parate execution basically means a debt recovery process outside the normal law. The moment parate execution notice is published in the newspapers, the borrower loses the reputation and gets exposed as a defaulter. Now, why do I say when you say the customers of a bank are frightened? The reason is this. This is the notice which will appear in the newspapers. When we go for parate action, when we tell the customer that we are going to auction the property, we will publish a paper notice, a notice in the newspapers in all 3 languages, informing of our intention to auction the property. So See what a powerful weapon you all are having, the bankers are having. So the moment the notice is published, the customer's reputation will be tarnished. So who will like to see in the newspapers their name being published as a defaulter? Will I like to see my name being published in the newspapers as a defaulter? Will you like to see your name being published? No. So that's why the moment Parate execution notice is issued, the customer's image will be tarnished. With the insertion of the new Act 5A, the Recovery of Loans by Banks Special Provision Act of 1990 will allow banks to resort to Parate action only if the principal sum borrowed is over 5 million. So that means that the original amount of 150,000 was enhanced to 5 million. The flow of 5 million imposed excludes any interest accrued or penalties imposed thereon. Accordingly, up to 5 million, all cases are mandated to follow the normal judiciary process. Action before Parate, notice of resolution should be published in the Government Gazette and a daily newspaper in all 3 languages of the country. Notice of the resolution should be served on the borrower. Notice of sale should be published in a gazette, and the newspapers prior to 14 days before the auction. So this is the notice. So any questions on Parate execution? Any question? Any question?
Sir, can we go for Parate action even if the bond value is lesser than 5 million?
No, miss, you can't go. No, you can go for Parate action if the bond value is less than 5 million, provided the original amount of the loan was 5 million.
So the loan value is 5 million.
Yes.
We say the mortgage bond value is 2 million.
Mortgage bond value is 3 million. No, you can't go for Parate action. Why did you take? Why have you taken the mortgage for 3 million if the original amount was 5 million? Why
sometimes the banks allow with a Cat B.
No, then you can't go. You can't go. The mortgage value also should be 5 million. Mortgage value also should be 5 million. Is it clear, miss? Mortgage value also should be 5 million. Supposing if the original amount, the original amount has come down to 3 million, you can go for Parate action. But the mortgage amount value also should be 5 million. Now the bankers are very, very cautious in going for Parate action because the reason is because the limit was enhanced from 150,000 to 5 million. So because of this, bankers are very, very careful in using this Parate action. Remember, Parate action is the last option and not the first option. I have been telling this at various training programs, seminars to my young staff, because most of them are under the impression just because we have the Parate action, we can go for auction. No, you can't go for auction because there is a loophole. There is a loophole available in the law which allows the borrower to seek the intervention of the courts if the customers, if the banks refuse to adhere to their pleadings. If the banker refuses to adhere to their pleadings, the banker has a right to go to courts, seek the intervention of the courts to stop the auction. But now, as it is, the central bank has imposed an injunction on banks. Banks have been prohibited in going for Parate action and seizing the vehicles under lease up to 31st March 2022 because of the COVID. But apart from that, still the customer had the right to go for seek the intervention of the courts. That's why we have been telling, if you are handling credit, if you are talking to a customer, everything should be minuted. You must immediately send a letter. You can't just say, I have been talking to the customer, you put a minute on the file. Immediately send a letter by registered post. Any other questions? Any other questions? We are coming close upon 12:30. Any other questions?
Sir, yes.
Yes.
After gazetting and publishing the newspaper about Parate, that there's a mention before 14 days,
Yes.
before the auction 14 days, we have mentioned publish it. So in between that 14 days, if the customer, however, able to make a payment and do
Then
the
you can
settlement, do we withdraw the Parate?
Yes, you can withdraw the Parate. If there is a settlement, you can withdraw. You don't have to worry about that. You can withdraw it. You don't have to worry about it. Just because we have auction is, if there's a satisfactory settlement, you can postpone the auction or you can cancel the auction. That's not a problem. You can cancel it. But in other words, banks are in possession of a powerful weapon. See the powerful weapon I am showing you because this was published in the newspapers. So see the powerful weapon you all are having. The moment you say the Parate action, the customers get frightened. Why do they get frightened? Because their name is going to be published in the newspapers. So they get frightened. So any questions on that? Any questions? Any other question? Is it clear, Miss? It's my explanation. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So now we will be stopping with this slide. Now we were talking about the benefits which we could derive in obtaining immovable property. Now at the same time, there are certain constraints, certain difficulties we bankers face in obtaining immovable property. What are those difficulties? Number one is time-consuming process towards title examination, which may delay the execution of the mortgage, because immovable property, there is always time, there is a delay. Why the delay? Because the lawyers will have to examine the title, the legal officer will have to examine the title. But if you have all the document, that also could be eliminated. Number two, the value of the property may under exceptional circumstances could fall due to negligence on the part of the mortgager. Value of immovable property always, it appreciates. But under exceptional circumstances could fall. What are these exceptional circumstances? If the property, the building has not been maintained properly, if it has not been color washed properly, if the roof has not been maintained, or like that, there are so many impediments which could depreciate the value. Number three, inability of the bank to find a suitable buyer due to various negative aspects of the property. Inability of the bank to find a suitable buyer. There are certain difficulties you will encounter in selling the property due to certain negative aspects, all of which I will explain later. But let me tell you all these three constraints are manageable constraints. That's why I say, however, these are all manageable constraints under the purview of the officials of the bank. These are all under your purview. Now we can't say time-consuming process. Now there are instances where we have got the law. The value of the property may, under exceptional circumstances, if you carry out periodic inspection, you can manage that. Inability of the bank to find a suitable buyer due to various negative aspects, that also you can manage. So in other words, even though there are certain negative constraints, negative aspects, these are all manageable aspects, constraints, which are under the purview of the officials of the banks. Is it clear to you all? Is it clear to you all? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So now I believe in punctuality. That's why today I started the session sharp at 8:30. So now it's 12:35. I want to adjourn the session today. So I have arranged to forward you the link of that article on SME. Go through that article very carefully, because there will be a question on immovable property. Sorry, not immovable, SME. Immovable also there will be a question. SME, there will be a question. So if you go through that particular article, you will be able to answer that question on pledge loans on SME, which is explained in detail. So that the link will be sent to you by Menaka. Go through it very carefully. So next Sunday also we are hoping to start the session sharp at 8:30, because you all are following from the comfort of your home, thanks to IBSL. But I, of course, don't like to conduct lectures from the comfort of my residence, because I am missing my students. When we are conducting a physical session, we can see the students, we can assess their body language. So we are missing you all. So hopefully once the situation returns to normal, they will be conducting physical session they may conduct. But this particular group, we will be conducting sessions from, it will be online session. So go through it very carefully, the handouts, and I think you all are provided with the recordings. You can go through the recordings again carefully. And so I will adjourn the session today. But before I adjourn, how was the session today? How was the session today? Today's session, how was the session today according to you? According to your assessment? How was the session today? You all are there, no?
Very clear.
Or you all are gone? How was the session today?
That was very good and clear in the content, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir. That was really great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
It was really good, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. A lot of interesting stories to hear in my next session. So we will meet you all at the next session at 8:30 next Sunday. Thank you all. Stay safe. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.